I was going to throw the countdown on, but I guess that we're not going to do that. We're going live now. Hi, everyone. My name is Bruce.
Let me put on my pants. Ah!
Pantsless stream. Pantsless stream. Pan over the miniatures. Don't let them see them. Anyway, hi, my name is Bruce, and today we're here at the desk of shame, and we're going to be talking about a wonderful movie from 1981, a movie which all of you deserve to see and enjoy, called Caveman. Not because it's a bad movie, because it's a fun movie, and you can show this movie to your grandfather and your grandkids and feel no shame. Oh yes, you definitely should. This movie came out in 1981. It stars Ringo Starr, Shelley Long, Barbara Bach, Jack Gifford, John Matuzak, and a host of other well-known actors.
Dennis Quaid,
Avery Schreiber. I mean, this movie is chock full of good talent. And Jackie Blue, you hold on, hon. I'm going to get you a link so you can watch this on your own device at your own leisure, and you might really enjoy it if you like silly little comedies, because this movie completely fits within silly little comedy. It'll take your mind off everything that's going on today.
Though, the slapstick humor is that different than some of the movies that I've seen, college age students that love those movies where they glue the people to their chest and dumb stuff like that. What was the name of that show?
Oh, Jackass or the Dudesons.
It's not any worse than anything like that. And if people thought that was funny, I don't see how they couldn't laugh at this one. Like the guy's pants getting caught on fire, and he's running and farting, that kind of stuff. To me, it's the same.
The dinosaurs in this. The dinosaurs are freaking phenomenal.
Yeah, I thought they were the T-Rexes were cute.
So I'd say about all the dinosaurs are absolutely perfect in this movie.
Yeah.
The stone T-Rex scene where he's leaning up against the rock like he's just stepped out of the bar, freaking trying to hold himself together. His arms are wobbling.
Yeah, they're real short, and he's fumbling around. And the one where he's doing this, where he's standing behind Ringo, and he's rubbing his hands like that because he can't wait to eat him. That whole thing, because his hands are real teeny. He can't do anything with them.
There's a lot of subtle comedic bits in there that are just awesome. It just sets it above a lot of movies.
Yeah, I thought it was really, really well done. But the whole thing about from the very beginning, how you find out about the hierarchy, of the tribe, basically, or the clan. Do you call it a clan or a tribe?
I'd say tribe.
Yeah.
Clan.
Well, I would call it a tribe, but the way that you find that out, and how Ringo Starr's character is in love with Lana, which is the tribe leader's woman, and she's really hot. She's the only one wearing a bikini, to show her curves and everything. And she's got other women in there that are primping on her and fixing her hair, and attending to her, like she's a queen or something. But and he just daydreams about her all the time, wanting to be with her. So, but even
though he had Zug Zug on the mind.
That's it. That's all I thought about. And also, though, what was his name? The leader of the group again? John
Matuzak?
Yeah.
He's the same guy that played...
Tonda. Tonda, he was very affectionate to her, too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Considering how you'd think that cavemen would treat women or whatever. Like when they get to when Shelley Long brings them back to get rid of the woman, her love interest's woman, basically, so she can have him for herself. When she brings him back and realizes all those men took all the girls, all the women, and kidnapped them, she felt really bad.
This movie had to be done in the summer of 1980 or the fall of 1980, because it was released in April of 81, and Matuzak had just put his Super Bowl ring on with the Oakland Raiders. He got his second Super Bowl in '81.
Huge guy. He was huge.
Yeah, and he was so fucking good. And in this movie, he uses his physicality to his benefit, and much to your benefit to watch it, because he looks like a bully. He looks like an instigator, and he does such a good job.
He's giant. He's humongous. I just couldn't get over how big he was, especially at first when they're all hunched over, walking all hunched over like cavemen, I guess, where their arms are kind of hanging down and stuff. He didn't look so as big as I remember, but once he did they laid on top of him and made it so his back would pop. He was huge. I mean, when he stood up next to everybody else. That must have been really hard on all of them to walk around hunched over like that the whole time.
I would say so, because look at the rocks they're having to walk on.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, and the little old man that played Shelley Long's father,
Jack Gifford,
the blind. Yeah, he was funny. His facial expressions and stuff was really cute. I just thought they were adorable.
Yeah, God really sold me on the fact that he was a blind man in this movie, even though I know he wasn't blind in reality. He played a blind man very, very well.
Yeah, he did really well. All of them did. I mean, every person they picked for each of the characters, and they didn't have dialogue. There wasn't any speech in the whole movie. I mean, there was sounds like grunting and noises and stuff.
A few made up words and whatnot. Yeah, it was done really well for not really having a script, quote unquote.
Yeah, you knew everything that was happening, though. You could understand that at the beginning when Ringo was trying to push himself into the relationship with what was her name? Lana. He wanted Lana for himself because she was so pretty and everything. I mean, I think all the men wanted her because she was so attractive, but she was stuck up, and greedy, and she was
shallow.
Yeah, shallow. So I'm glad that he worked that out, because at the end, when he thought he beat up Tonga, and he was going to be the leader of the clan or the tribe. And then he took her hand, and she was all happy, thinking, see, look at me, I'm so pretty. I get the guy. And then he picks her up and he throws her in that big pile of shit. I just love that scene. I just thought it was a really adorable, funny movie. I laughed with a lot of it. And I could hear Bruce laughing through the whole movie too. But the music really kept me in it. Every time something happened, like the whole thing when they were trying to carry the giant egg. And then when they finally did win and get the egg, and they're all that song, doo 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 doo. That just these stupid.
The Hungry Plant song is so damn good.
All of them were just so funny that it's made you laugh, and that's like I said. Sometimes you can have a movie that's so intense you don't even notice that it has a soundtrack. You're just so into the movie you don't even notice the music. But this one, the music made you more into the movie. I don't know how to explain it. Just like some of the musicals you'd see, like Victor Victoria or Grease, the Blues Brothers. The music pulled you more into the characters because of the songs and the music going along with the theme of whatever's happening in the scene. And that's how I felt with this one. Even though there was no singing really in any of the music, it was all. It went along with whatever was going, like when they're all getting ready for war and they're making all their weapons, and they killed that one dinosaur, cut them all up and skinned them so they could make, armor and stuff like that. I just thought it was really, really good. I thought it was funny. Didn't you guys think it was good?
I love this movie. This is a movie I've seen since I was like 13 years old, and it's never disappointed me. It's never pulled me out of a funk. This movie has so much dopamine waiting for me. I watch this movie if I even get depressed.
That's the word. It was good.
Yeah, I've seen this like half a dozen times, but sadly, the last time I saw it was like in '89, and I've always liked this movie. This movie was fun. It's relatively wholesome. Like,
Yeah, there wasn't any.
the kids can watch it, and they're
one dirty word in the movie. So it was good, and you could watch it with kids today. I wouldn't want to watch it with little bitty kids because they wouldn't understand what's going on. But a kid that's old enough to know what kissing is, that you see someone kissing, stuff like that, I think would be old enough to watch this movie.
And like I mentioned off stream when we were watching the movie, this would be the perfect accompaniment to like a weekend one shot of Land of Og tabletop caveman game.
Yeah.
Like, I've never heard that
this
game.
would put you in the mood. You go and think of the words you want to incorporate in your game, and then you go play caveman and fight dinosaurs or whatever.
But you know what?
Steal furs and meat from the guys across the river.
Whoever is the one that sat down and made the words or came up with the words when they spoke to each other and stuff, like that one scene when you finally see a dinosaur and you see him running from it and he's fearful when he sees it and he says matcha, like it could have been a real word back when they were cavemen. I mean, that to me, I really thought that some of the words they used fit for what they were using it for in this movie. I thought they did really well with it.
It conveyed the message.
Yeah, Haraka was kind of, I don't know, if I would pick that, but the fact like matcha, it just like when the one guy that went back to the cave and he was talking about that matcha was coming and they went and he went up in the tree and he has his fingers and he's got the people and he's saying the names of them and then he hits it against his head and the tree goes and then he says it grabs him and he's screaming and you see him scream. The whole way he acted it all out was like, hey, that had to be how a lot of these people communicated back then. I mean, because we don't really know. We have no idea because none of us are, lived then. So I just thought it was
And then
great.
For the rest of us who don't speak caveman, there's Nuke, who's the only one that speaks English. Mm-hmm. And of course, he's the Asian guy because he's the smartest caveman.
He was so funny. And he looked familiar too. What other movies was he
in? Evan Kim. He was in V and Kentucky Fried Movie and a couple others. But those are the two big ones.
He was in the series V?
He was the camera guy.
Yep.
So,
right. God, that was a long time ago. See, we need to watch that series.
Mark Singer and him were the two news guys in V.
Yeah. But yeah, he was good. He was funny. But and also the part where the guy with the funny arm, the way he had his arm, that had to have been really hard to hold your arm like that through all the scenes that you're in. Because he had puka, on his arm. I just thought it was so funny. But when he crawls out of the cave and when they get him to come out and they say Bobo or whatever, and they do that real interesting hand jive thing or whatever, it's so stupid. I started laughing. I just forgot about that. But, all that to get him to come out. And then you see one woman, couple kids, another woman, some kids, and then another lady. He had 3 wives, and all those kids. I just thought that was great, and then the 2 gay guys that are holding hands, and you see them, Ringo and Dennis Quaid, look at each other, and they went,
No, that's weird.
It was just funny. But see, that was back in 1981. See how diverse it was? It had blacks and Asians and whites. Had tall, short, fat people. It had all sizes and shapes and colors. And it even had gays. It had a guy that had multiple wives. It had, it had normal romance and it had backstabbing. I mean, it had everything in it, if you think about it. And now today they feel like we're not diverse enough to have to cram it down the throat. So I just thought it was good. It was refreshing. It was refreshing to see a movie.
It showed you diversity without talking down to you.
Yeah. They did talk to you.
It was wholesome, upbeat.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I really enjoyed
it. Back in the day, whenever you were
epic.
diverse, when you were being diverse, you weren't trying to make a covert effort to say, like, look how cool I am. I have people that are not like me around me. You're just like, no, I've got this cool topic, and I think we really enjoy it. And the focus was on the topic at hand. It's like we were talking earlier in the Discord, how the older game tables would not have the false diversity that big corporate gaming wants you to have. They'd have organic diversity where you were genuinely happy to have people at the table because you were a definite niche or minority, and you didn't have the groupings of people that were drawn to D&D because it was a cool thing. D&D was not looked at as a cool thing. It was never a cool thing until the mainstream saw it as a way to propagate its garbage agenda in the last couple years.
It was socialist, or it was social without the socialist.
Yeah. It was a true social game. And it was meant to be something that you did with people you really enjoyed the time with. And you could have rivals at the table. It was healthy to have that, but you know, it was always a focus to like keep it on the game and not like take it personal if something happened to your character or if you were playing. You had to have good sportsmanship and a mature mind to play it with. That's all.
Occasionally you get the assholes at the table, but you like either kick them out or they like shape up and conform to the group, or they move on to a table that will, you know, take that type of personality. It wasn't like, oh, here's an X card, so if you're offended, go sit in your timeout spot and whatever. No, like, people were genuinely interested in gaming, and, you know, we worked out our differences. This weird Bolshevik shit that's going on in tabletop gaming, yeah, we don't need that.
Well, I was going to throw this in. The only other movie that I remember that had the dialogue thing that, you know, you understood what was going on, even though you didn't understand what they were saying because you couldn't speak that language, was, and Dennis Quaid was in it. Remember Enemy Mine? When Louis Gossett Jr. wrote his own speech or whatever, made up his own dialect for his character. And I thought that was really good. And you understood, you know, mostly through their actions. And the little boy was in that movie. Oh, just adored him. But this movie, it was funny because it's almost like you understood everything they were saying because of their actions. You know, like when the little guy, the dwarf guy, what was his name again? Ta goes in, and they're all standing there. You see them standing there, it's zoomed in on them, and they're all going like, oh, what's that smell? You know, you can tell by the looks on their face, and they're all looking at each other like, who farted, basically. And then you see it zoom out, and you see that they're standing in shit, and then someone says Ta, the little guy, and they can't find him, so they start all digging around in the shit to see if they can find him, and it's all over their hands and everything, and all of a sudden you see him coming out from between two rocks, and he's fixing his pants, and then he looks and he goes, caca, or whatever he points out. I'm sorry, it's so funny. I still laugh. And then they all look at him, and you see they're pissed off. And they shove him down in the shit. I just thought that was so funny. That to me was the funniest scene in the movie.
Elbow deep in crap.
Yeah, it was in the crap, and then that's when the Asian guy goes, "Shit." Such a good line. The whole thing was just funny. They did really good, and just like what you said, the comment you made, Bruce, about is there Shelley Long? That's her name, right?
Mm-hmm.
You said about her, she didn't speak. She's a really good actress.
I hated her on Cheers.
I loved her on Cheers. I thought she was so good because she was supposed to be drab and boring. That was her character.
Like, if you were like, I need a foil for Ted Danson. Yeah, she's good at that, but they were supposed to be a romantic interest. And how can you be romantic with somebody that kills your boner every time she opens her mouth? Good God.
The reason it was hard, he was hard on for her is because it was something he couldn't have. See what I mean? All men want what they can't have. doesn't matter if she's a bitch or not. I mean, just like one night, a couple of times when we did those shows, and I was like, the girls are going, "Oh, Pookie, I'm horny," and I was like, how do guys stand women that talk like that, like baby talk all the time? It's disgusting.
Ellen Green never had a dry vagina. That was unfair.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's why Shelley Long's character was just the opposite of that, to get men supposedly not to like her, but it made men want her more because she was not available. You know, all these guys that says, yeah, I meet a lesbian girl, I know I could turn her. You know, that's all men think about is sex when, you know, at certain ages.
When you've got a dick that dangles between your thighs, and every time you shift, you feel the shaft or the head of it touch part of you, you're reminded of it constantly. This goes through your head 500 times a day. And so if it helps you out, Janet, that's the reason why men have sex and their dick and relief on the mind all the time.
Well, the thing is, women have boobs, okay? And you can't not have boobs. I mean, they're always, wherever you go, they're right in front of you. See, so you can't forget about them.
Ask a friend. I'm sure they'll hold them for you.
But it's just funny to me. Men are just, you guys are just, you're men, and that's what makes you attractive to women, is that certain things that you think about and the way you handle things is just funny to women, because we're not men.
But I mean, women, and I'm not saying women don't think
unless we're in the Olympics.
Women think of sex all the time too.
Yeah, we do. We think of it a lot. Mm-hmm. More than men think we do. Believe me, I'm telling you.
I mean, there's certain things women can do that men can't. Like
we have limitations.
Yeah, we
That's
have
for certain.
Women do.
What do
If
you
guys
mean?
are, oh, okay, well, a woman can cross her legs and let the seam of her jeans ride the bean, and by kicking that thigh, she can fix the bean.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe, but men can do the same thing. Just go in the men's room for a few minutes.
We need rest. We need sleep. We need to recharge our sea monkeys.
Oh, you mean, well, after the sea monkeys have been released, don't you have relief after that?
We do, but we also need rest after that. For some odd reason, we get tired, like a diabetic that just ate.
You got to have nutrients, like, you know, drinking and eating some steak would help out.
But
high protein.
I'm just saying that, like, a woman can do her thing in public. She can do that in public to herself. A guy cannot. You cannot whip your dick out or start, like,
well, you can. You're just going to get arrested.
Yes, the arrested happens to guys. Women, like, it's such a rare thing, and I find it so weird that people are like, my God, another woman teacher got busted for having sex with one of her male students that was like 12. And I'm like, that happens probably a lot more than what you're thinking it does. I think that happens a lot. It's just that at some point they get very sloppy and they don't hide it well. Because most groomers, most people that prey on kids will have like a resume of 10 to 15 kids before they get sloppy and get caught. That's what happened with Jody Plowshy. He was not the first one to have that happen. That his karate sensei did that to him. But I always find it weird, like they get caught, and like it took them that long to figure out. No. You'd be surprised. A lot of kids, they respect adults and they don't talk. But anyway, it's just really weird that women can do this stuff in public and not get ostracized for it. Men
giving away our secrets, honey.
My wife is. I'm giving away secrets here. Sorry.
Well,
keep it secret. Keep it safe.
To most women, most women, we can't help that God made us the way we did, that He did. But men just have to figure it out, figure out what to do about it.
Janet, you would be the one person that would announce either vocally or wear a shirt with like a necklace of a cross, and you declare people proudly, I'm a conservative Christian woman, and then get caught doing something in public you shouldn't. Don't do that.
Hot take. Uh-oh.
I wouldn't.
Yeah. Don't be Lauren Boebert.
Yeah, don't vote for yourself. Please don't Bobert yourself. And I know you wouldn't, but you're the demographic that would, because you're a right-minded person. You're conservative. That's what I'm saying. If somebody like, if Megan Thee Stallion decided to take a cucumber on stage and pleasure herself in front of
but the thing is, nobody cares when you're on the left. Nobody gives a crap. They only care if it happens to someone who's not on the left. That's the only reason it seems like.
Have you seen Madonna on stage recently? Like, holy crap!
I saw a couple videos that were released, and she didn't look like herself anymore. So it's somebody else.
She's looking more like Frankenstein than Frankenhooker.
But the thing is that the one thing though about this movie is the fact that they all looked like they had a great time making it. They all looked like they had fun. I bet the crew laughed a lot. I would love to see if they had outtakes, or what is that? A spoof reel or whatever it's called.
A blooper reel? Oh yeah.
Yeah, a blooper reel. Oh, I bet it would be so funny because it just looked like everybody had a good time making this movie. I think to see them reacting to nothing, because I don't know how they did it. There's no dinosaur, so it's put in after the movie's made, basically. So you had to have all them. I wonder if they had a big pole with a ball on it or something, and had people looking up and reacting to it. I don't know. That would be interesting to me to see how they got everyone to react the way they did to the different nothings, that weren't there.
They were still using blue screen too.
Yeah, but the one thing that I thought was sad that I didn't understand that after I thought about it was the fact that he went through all that trouble to pick all those berries and clean those melons and stuff out and fill them up and then put them in a line to capture that one dragon or the dragon dinosaur thing to ride it, right? So he could fight with Tonga and Tonga just walks right up to it, pulls him off of it like he did, like, why do you even have it, instead of trying to use it to run over him or something. It just was, to me, I thought that was sad.
He thought that if he could get mounted on it, he would have an advantage. He didn't realize the time value of training over time that would make.
And he drugged him up too much. He drugged up the dinosaur. It was like totally useless. It didn't do anything. Just stood there. I thought
this is where millions of years of evolution leads us to our current Navy and Army.
It was fun.
It was those mistakes that our ancestors made 1 zillion years BC.
On a Thursday in October.
Yeah, and that was John Lennon's birthday. The date.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if you look it up, that's his birthday. That's why they used it. I think so. I think that was one of the trivia things. But the whole thing, the best costume I thought that was in the movie was the one from the Ice Age area when they floated downriver. It didn't take them very long to get back after they went to the Ice Age. That was kind of funny. It
was a short Ice Age.
Yeah, it was funny though. The whole scene, we were all laughing. Everybody in the room was laughing at that scene. When
that abominable snowman was such a cool costume.
Yeah, but when he
the elongated arms and everything.
Yeah, but when he thawed out, everybody was freaking out, trying to get away, and Dennis Quaid was half frozen still. It was just, that was so funny. It was really good. He's doing that pointing.
It was the witch version of the Snow Beast from Star Wars.
Oh, it was funny. That was a funny scene. So they had some really good laughs in this movie, even though there was no dialogue really. There was no dialogue. And then the thing when the lightning hit the tree and it's pouring down rain, and then the lightning hits the tree and it hits the ground, the branch, and it's flaming on both ends, and then it's not raining anymore. Stuff like that. I thought it was kind of corny and quirky, but I still thought it was funny. I mean, I did laugh, and I heard Bruce laughing out loud, so he enjoyed it for sure.
I never don't laugh at this movie. This is not a movie that I can watch and not laugh. I've seen this movie so many times. This movie, I I used to use this movie as a barometer for if I'm going to have fun with a date. This is what I pop in the VCR or DVD player, because I've had copies on VHS and beta and DVD. It's just one of those films that you use. This is a good movie for you young men out there. Get a copy of Caveman. They do have it on Blu-ray now too. It came out in 2015. Get yourself a copy of Blu-ray, and if you are wondering if a woman would be a fun long-term partner, if she laughs while watching this movie, then you at least have a possible chance of having fun with her. If she does not laugh, get rid of it. Quick.
And was it Richard Mole? Isn't he the guy that was on
Night Court?
Night Court, yeah, the big giant dude.
Mm-hmm.
He was the
Night Court.
snowman. But the thing, most of this was filmed in Mexico.
Yep.
It was
it was central Mexico. Majority of it, I think.
Gorgeous, beautiful scenery. The skies were breathtaking. Definitely, the scenery is just gorgeous, and it looked pristine. You know, like it could be possible that they filmed it in a time where there wasn't roads, because I didn't see a single telephone pole. I didn't see anything that resembled, today. You know what I mean? Except when every so often when you saw like the footprints and you saw Dennis Wade with his leg tucked behind the other one and he couldn't get it undone. I just thought stupid stuff like that was funny, because they were trying to show you how stupid they were back then. And that the smartest ones were the ones that, became the leaders of the tribe, even if they weren't, muscular or manly or whatever, that they could still be the leader if they were brainy. So I thought that was funny too. I don't know. It just had so many little wonderful nuggets in it that
one location where it was Tulla and Gog. Gog fell in the mud pit, nearly drowned, and they saved him when they first met. And when they went to the waterfalls to wash off,
that wasn't supposed to be
that
like
location was. Yeah, the location with the waterfalls was just absolutely breathtaking.
Oh, I know, wasn't it? Oh, the smooth rocks, and they get to sit on it. Now, there's a place like that in Arkansas that we go to every so often when we get a chance. And it's all smooth rocks like that. You can walk around barefooted because it's just smooth. Those beautiful round rocks, and the water's crystal clear. You can see all the way to the bottom, but it's a moving stream. And sometimes it's really fast, but it's not a raging river or anything like that. But it's just beautiful. It's a babbling brook or whatever you want to call it. Oh, it's so nice. So when we get a chance, that's where I go. And you can lay out there all day long. But you get on the other side where the trees like hang over it and stuff, you have to be real careful because it could be snakes. Water moccasins and stuff where the water doesn't move very fast. And because, they don't like to lay it on those hot rocks and stuff because it gets too hot. But it's so pretty. And that's what it reminded me of. But you know how he was getting washed down the thing like that you could do that in some of these little creeks and streams in Arkansas, because it's soft, beautiful rocks like that and stuff. It's just beautiful. I just thought it was
do that. Do you know where you cannot do that, Janet? Mm-mm. In the Seine River, where they just had a triathlon, and the athletes that came out of the Seine River said, "We were waiting and so."
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I heard that. That's disgusting. I heard about that. It was so terrible.
Just raw sewage.
I'm going to shit on France for the next few months because of all this stuff going on with the Olympics. I am going to wipe my ass for France.
Yeah, they want that stuff. They can have it. Just don't bring it here.
Yeah, they really. I haven't even watched the Olympics. I just have to hear.
That's what 250 years of liberalism does.
Mm-hmm. It's terrible.
You start getting kooky ideas, and then you got shitty Olympics.
I was trying to find an interview that I saw with John Matuzak in 1988. I want to say it was 88 because it was about a year before he died, and he was having a hard time doing wrist curls and bicep curls of like 35 pounds. And this movie was in 81. In 85, he was Sloth, and he'd already dropped like 70 pounds between Caveman and the filming of The Goonies. And then as he continued on, he just withered up because of whatever it was that ravaged his body. But he looked like you guys probably don't want to see that. You don't want to see a small, withered John Matuzak. You want to remember him as a strong, beefy, manly man. And I guess I'm a bad host for doing that, but I remember seeing that interview and watching that and wanting to cry because, like,
what was the disease that he ended up with?
Hold on here.
Was it Lou Gehrig's disease? Something like that?
His
it was cardiovascular, wasn't it?
Accidental overdose.
He had an enlarged heart and all that.
Yeah, he had
took an overdose?
Propoxylene intoxication, an accidental overdose of prescription drug Darvocet, and he had hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, an enlarged heart, and bronchopneumonia, and those were contributing factors in his death. And there was trace amounts of cocaine found in his bloodstream, so he'd probably done it within the last 36 to 48, because that stuff goes away quick. You can't have a piss test within 24 hours and have a guaranteed result of a positive with cocaine. I only know that because of the oil field. And I watch people snort it and I watch people piss. Not watch them piss, but after they piss, they still had a job. But this guy had cocaine in the system with all the stuff he has been doing, and the enlarged heart, pneumonia, and other things that he had some real issues, and he started dropping weight in the late 80s. And it wasn't fun to watch. I remember that.
Yeah. It was. That's really sad. But he was huge. He was giant. He was a mountain of a man in this movie.
Perfect Goliath. When
I first saw him, I thought he was the same actor that played Brutus. Remember I asked you that when I first said you were going to watch it. I said, wasn't he Brutus?
Nope,
or whatever in Popeye?
Paul Smith played Brutus. That same.
He was a big guy too.
The Beast Raban from Dune was the same guy that played Brutus.
But to me, what was funny is watching the whole movie, everyone looked normal. They all look like normal people, like Shelley Long and Dennis Quaid and Ringo Starr. All of them just looked normal until the one guy that they ended up getting his eyebrows burned and stuff off in the front of his hair. He's the only one that actually, to me, looked like a Neanderthal kind of man, a real caveman. He had that look about him, you know what I mean? And he had the most beautiful wife or girlfriend or mate in the movie. I thought she was the prettiest girl in the movie.
Miguel Angel Fuentes played Grot, the guy that got his hair burned.
Well, his
he's been in a lot of stuff too.
She was Erica Carlson or something like that, and she was gorgeous. Remember, he pulls her shirt off. She has a little fur bra on, and then he turns around and taps her on the butt when he's trying to find a new mate. She was really pretty. She was standing right next to Shelley Long when he picks her up and puts her over his shoulder and pats her on the ass. I thought that was cute, because you think about it. He had all the women. He had a selection of women, and he was going to pick a new mate, and he was looking at all, measuring them up, seeing how tall they were and what their bodies looked like. I thought it was funny. So, and then when Shelley Long went up to Ringo because she thought he was attractive and she was interested in because he saved her dad, he was a hero to her, and she goes up to him and she says zug zug like that. He was like, eh.
Yeah.
He wasn't interested at all because he looks at her chest and he's like, eh. It was so funny. And then she's like, Lana, trying to figure out who that was. And then when she saw her, she was instantly jealous because, plus she was very mousy. And she had full coverage, everything was covered up, even though she was the blonde. So it was basically turned around because normally you have like Ginger and Marianne, you have the gorgeous blonde and the mousy brunette. Okay, this time it was the gorgeous brunette and a mousy blonde. So I thought that was a good little twist for the script, for the story. You know what? The script wasn't bad. I didn't think it was that bad. It had a really good story with romance, intrigue. It had danger. It had, some brawls. They had some, kind of brawls going on because I wouldn't really call them fights. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't like punching and stuff like that. It was mostly like three little kids on the playground. You know what I mean? Pushing and shoving and stuff. That's what it reminded me of. It was a bunch of brawling little kids, toddlers shoving each other for stuff, But so to me, it wasn't even really that violent, considering it was cavemen, and the dinosaurs were so cute. They weren't like terrifying, like in Jurassic Park or anything like that. But it was funny. Yeah, him. God, see, he looks like a caveman with those eyebrows.
That jawline is fucking amazing.
He looks cavemanish.
and this
sadly, movie, I think he passed last year.
He did pass last year.
Well, how old was he when he made the movie?
Man, yeah.
He was 30 years old or in his like late 20s, early 30s when Caveman came out. He was 70 when he passed.
I was shocked when I looked him up, because when I saw this movie and we were watching it, I was like, golly, Dennis Quaid and Ringo don't look that much different in age. And I was like, Ringo has to be way older than Dennis Quaid, is what I was thinking. So I looked it up, and now Ringo's like 85 now or something. So he was 40 when they made this movie, and he looked really good for a 40-year-old. He didn't have any gray in his beard, and it didn't look like he dyed his hair. I mean, it looked like it had highlights and stuff in it. So whoever did his hair or whatever did a good job, but he just looked young. He looked young, younger than 40 in this movie. So he did good. The only one that had gray hair that I could even remember, and it was the Grok. What was his name? Her father? Gog or something. Yeah. The blind guy. And he was funny. The whole thing when he's doing back and forth with the pumpkin. It just was funny the way that they talked to each other about what happened, and like with the dinosaur knocking the tree over and all that. I just thought it was great. I thought it was really smart, because even though they weren't speaking, they had to remember exactly how to do all the little hand gestures and all that stuff. And that stupid handshake they had, I don't know who came up with that, but that to me was one of the dumbest things they did in the movie.
Bobo.
I thought that was funny too. I mean, all of that. I thought all of that.
I gotta wonder, Quest for Fire, which is like the highbrow gold standard of caveman flicks.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Clan of the Cave Bear. That was pretty decent. But like, if you're going full on cave people movies, that's like the gold standard. It came out the next year.
Yeah.
Quest for Fire.
Yeah. That was good.
With Radon Chong and Ron Perlman. Mm-hmm. Like, I wonder if they got the idea from this, and they're like, hey, let's go the opposite direction. Instead of a comedy, let's try and make it all National Geographic, Mutual of Omaha.
No, I think they were already filming it. It was already being planned and stuff beforehand, because it takes longer to write a script and get the people and the scenes and to do all that. It takes years, basically.
True, but if you remember, up until the 90s, studios were doing the competing movie thing. Like, oh, Paramount's doing their version of whatever, and here we're going to do our version of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like Tombstone and Wyatt Earp,
but they knew the
disaster
other one
films.
was writing a script, or they were looking to interview with certain people for leads for their movie, and then it's not that hard to find out, this person applied for this job, and talk to a few other little assistants, and the assistants run back and say, yeah, they're making a Superman movie, or they're going to make a werewolf movie, or they're going to do, this, that, and the other. So that's another one I definitely want us to review, is that one with Jack Nicholson and Michelle Pfeiffer, the werewolf one.
Oh,
yeah, whatever it was called.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a really good one.
Too. After seeing Stargate,
I even liked De Niro's Frankenstein before his TDS bit, and I could stomach watching him.
But they just, I don't know. This movie was well made. I mean, it was I don't even know who the director was. What movies did this director make?
Gottlieb. The director that was credited for it was Carl Gottlieb. The movies that he's done, he's still with us today, I might say. He was a writer for Jaws 2 and Dr. Detroit. His director credits.
Dr. Detroit.
Yeah, I know, right?
I never saw that one. I don't know what that is.
It's an older film.
Put it on the list.
Yeah, we should put it on the list. He was a director for the parts of Amazon Women of the Moon, the Peter Pan Theater, the Penthouse Video, the Son of the Invisible Man. He was he did 2 episodes of Delta House, which was the Animal House TV series. He was a director for Laverne and Shirley's 1 episode. He was a writer primarily for like things like the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour. He did 52 episodes of writing for that. He was on George Burns Comedy Week. He did 4 episodes for that. He wrote the TV movie The Jerk 2.
I never saw it either.
Yeah, that was not well received. And then
I didn't see hardly any of the stuff that you're talking about.
He was a writer for Jaws 3D, which I would not recommend.
I didn't see it either.
I did watch Jaws 2. I've not watched past Jaws 2 because Jaws 2 is a very horrible film. No, look, they have a crappy shark. Yeah.
This is coming from the guy that took me to that website and showed me all those D-rate movies.
Hey. You be nice. Those are good.
Jaws 2 kind of has a soft spot in my heart because in kindergarten I got chicken pox. It was about the same time that we got a 13-inch color TV, which was state of the art back then.
Yeah.
And so I got the old black and white TV with the bunny ears. And while I'm cooped up in my room, basically in quarantine, I got to watch Jaws 2 and get scared shitless as a little kid before my parents decided to parade the entire class into my room and get them all knocked up with chicken pox, which was the norm back then.
So did this movie make
I have
any
fond
money?
memories of that movie.
Okay, so the movie cost $6 million. They filmed it in 1980 and got it edited, ready to go. They might have filmed it in winter of 80-81, but it came out in April of 81, and the box office was 16 million. For 6, they turned that into 16. That's not bad.
No, and considering this is the reason I asked.
And a good chunk of that was special effects, I would assume.
Yeah.
The claymation, that shit was not cheap.
Yeah,
because the movies that came out in 1981 was History of the World Part 1, Quest for Fire, and Tarzan, the Ape Man. Those are three other movies that came out right around the same time this one did. And I remember people talking about Tarzan and the History of the World.
I remember Quest for Fire.
So, and Quest for Fire, because I did go see Quest for Fire, but I mean, I heard other people talking about the other movie they went to. So it had competition.
Yeah.
For people to see it. And remember, comedies aren't the ones that most people will go see. I mean, people do like comedies, but they're not the number one. If there's a drama or a thriller or something like that, that will top a comedy. Now, comedies are still lower than horror when it comes to people spending money at the movie theater to go see it. So that's pretty good.
During the VHS era, comedies were, what you would get with like cheap movie night or something like that.
Yeah, but for home, I'm talking about people that are going to pay money to go to a theater. That usually it's a thriller or a drama, stuff like that. The ones that you expect to win Academy Awards. Those are the ones that people would pay money at the theater. So comedies, romance movies, things like that were lower, and they never were very rarely ever blockbusters. You see, because they were just people just didn't spend a lot of money and go back and see it again. See, too, if it was a romance or something like that. So those movies that were listed that had competition for this little comedy.
We have to talk about the dinosaurs in this film. because
Yeah, it was good.
Jim Danforth, he designed the dinosaurs and giant lizards in this movie, and he had been attached to other projects at the time that didn't quite go through. He was supposed to be with Keith Baker, and they were supposed to work on the Conan the Barbarian movie, which all he really did for that was just do a matte painting, and that was it. And then after that, he gets to do the visual effects for this movie Caveman, and he designs the dinosaurs and directs the live action scenes where the dinosaurs are appearing. But all the hands-on animations done by this guy named David Allen, and then Randy Cook and Pete Klein now. So Danforth is getting into an argument with the Directors Guild of America, and it's not good. So he leaves 2/3 of the way in. He just says, fuck it.
But why did they argue? Do you know why? Why they got in a fight?
He was a major participant in the special effects sequences, and he wanted a director credit because he was a director for those scenes. He wants a director credit. And the DGA would not give him the on-screen credit with Carl Gottlieb. And so Danforth says, fuck you, I'm out. And consequently, his name does not appear in the film whatsoever.
Yeah.
But he's the reason why we've got the great
and
dinosaurs.
that sucks.
Yeah.
Because this guy has a host of talent. Like, as we were discussing earlier, he worked with Art Clokey, who's famous for Gumby. He did Jack the Giant Killer, 1962 film with claymation. The Seven Faces Dr. Lau, like, all of that's just awesome. Like, the guy has some serious chops, and to not get credit, like, screw you, Hollywood.
Is that was that stop motion? Is that what you call that they did?
Yeah, we're gonna travel back in time. He was his first big thing. He was really uncredited for it, but he was part of the Time Machine. He was an assistant animator for the Morlocks. And he works on the Lost Continent, which I've seen that as well. A movie he gets a little bit of credit for now, but they didn't do it at the time, was Jack the Giant Killer, which you just said, and that actually has a 6.3 rating on IMDb, which I'm surprised about because the script is kind of weak. I'm just gonna say, it's great.
Like, it was an entertaining film. I watched it last night, and the last time I saw it was like when I was a kid, and it was like, okay, it's got what's his name, Derwin Matthews from Sinbad, and then it's got some cool fantasy elements, but it's like hokey 60s special effects. Like, it's really good for what it was.
Yes,
like, pretty kick-ass, but it was nowhere like it would be a $500 or $500 million blockbuster nowadays. Like, it just wasn't there.
this movie maybe had
a product of its time.
$250,000 thrown at it. I don't even think it was that much. It was very low budget. They got great on the costumes and scenery, but here's the claymation, and you can see that a lot of people hold this still in high regard. But it's not really a quality film as far as like script is concerned. It's fun to watch.
Definitely a fun film.
Yeah, but now the score. Okay, I sent you the link for the score because of the choice of whoever it was that chose the different music for the movie that we watched. Yeah, see, I remember that movie, watching it on like a Saturday matinee at home on TV. And the other ones, there was a couple other ones that we watched because it seemed like those came on every Saturday or Sunday afternoon. Those old movies like that.
I love the hang glider collar. I really do.
It's very scary. You look like he's
I would totally throw that in one of the RPGs. Just classic freaking bad guy attire.
Yeah, he looks very scary. What was the one, Sinbad in the Seven Seas or something like that? And it had the skeletons that he had to fight and stuff.
Oh, that was Jason and the Argonauts.
Maybe I can't remember. I just remember watching that on a Saturday.
Seventh Voyage of Sinbad?
Yeah, Seven Voyages of Sinbad.
Seventh Voyage of Sinbad was
on the
what was that?
Saturday matinee or something on TV. Because we only had the 3 channels or whatever, we got to watch the free stuff as much as we could. And then
the two-headed dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't this have the statue of
Cyclops.
Kali? Does this have the Kali fight?
Yeah.
See, that was so cool. And I loved Godzilla. My dad got me to watch Godzilla movies with him, the black and white ones.
No more holiday films, kids. We're going to be watching nothing but stop motion and fantasy films the rest of the year.
Well, it's good stuff.
I'd be down with that.
Imagination to, create the creatures and stuff.
Gerwin was such a Chad of a man. He's one of the best action heroes we had. He lived for a hell of a time too. 26 to 2007. Yeah.
But did you see that dragon? Chest was going in and out. They even made it look like it was breathing.
Yeah.
So they did work hard to try to make him as realistic as they possibly could.
He's also in the 3 Worlds of Gulliver. Last movie he did was Nightmare in Blood. And I remember the boy
seeing that.
Okay. But yeah,
General Hospital. I saw that. I mean, that was one of the soap operas I think my mother would watch. She liked that in Days of Our Lives. My grandmother watched a different one, but I can't remember what it was, what the name of it was. But that's what they mostly watched when they were home during the daytime. So we never.
Guiding Light, General Hospital, or Days of Our Lives.
Mm-hmm. So.
And as a kid growing up in the 80s, we were fighting over their soap operas or like MTV or cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
This is a great, Baby Girl perfectly says this was a fun movie.
Yeah, it was. And I just liked the music, though. That was one of my very favorite things. There was a couple scenes that really stood out.
It's
like
catchy,
I told you,
ain't it?
But the choice of music without singing, this is all like just sound music, with percussion and wind instruments and things like that. And it was upbeat and it put you in the mood, for the what was going on that was coming, unveiling on screen in front of you. And I just thought it pulled you into the movie even more. I made it even more funny or more, energetic, like with the whole scene when they're making the weapons and stuff. I just thought that was just really, really good. So whoever was in charge of doing that, they definitely went above and beyond for this movie, because it's there's very few movies that I talk about how much I love the soundtracks, because usually I'll say I didn't even notice it, so that's how boring it was. It didn't even, cross my mind, or it's so bad that it pulls you away from the movie. You know what I mean? This didn't. This pulled you into the movie, like Blues Brothers. I was standing up and dancing and just having a great time, because you can't help it. You're enveloped with the music, and that's how I felt watching this one. But it was a totally different envelopment, but I felt energized by the music for the different scenes and stuff like that. I think it helped the movie. It boosted it for me.
I do want to say we had a review we did 2 weeks ago about A History of Violence, and we had a commenter, and I should let this person have their due, because I feel like we should probably do that. So Salazar ZX 62090 says this movie's garbage. No offense. And okay, that's your opinion. I'm like, you might not like it. I didn't enjoy it the first time I watched it, but 19 years later, I feel different about it. See if the same thing happens for you. Oh, it won't. Trust me, it won't. But thanks for your suggestion. I thought that was interesting. Then Baby Girl says, you and Janet are fun to listen to. I'm always amazed at the range of movies you come up with. Keep it up. And I'm shocked that you guys don't have way more followers. Well, thank you.
Aw, how sweet. Well, she comes as much every so often. I don't see her every time because it's hard for me to keep up with the chats in the different rooms and stuff.
She's on here quite a bit with us. Thank you, baby girl, for being part of.
She's a regular without being like an on-screen presence.
Yeah. Well, you can't please everyone, but what kind of world would we live in if everybody liked everything everybody did? You know, that'd be pretty boring. So
we'd be just like Apple right now.
Yeah. So. But yeah, the score was good. So who was in charge of the music for this movie?
Music for this movie was done by Lalo Schifrin, and he is an Argentine-American pianist, composer, arranger, and conductor. He's best known for the large body of film and TV scores he did in the 1950s, where he'd incorporate a lot of jazz and other real spicy musical styles within it. He was known for the themes of Impossible or Mission Impossible and Mannix, as well as the score to Cool Hand Luke, Bullet. He did
nice
38, Enter the Dragon, The Four Musketeers from.
Oh god, that had an awesome score too.
Yes, it did. I love Enter the Dragon. Voyage of the Damned, 1976. The Eagles Landed, and the Amityville Horror in 79. He's now 92 years old and still living fairly happily.
Well, he did good on this movie. I mean, when you see him sitting around the campfire, okay, and the little dwarf blows, you know, he exhales, he wipes his brow, and he exhales, and you hear that sound like into his, like when you blow into a bottle, and then you see him look around, like, you know, it just got that cute, innocent look on his face, like he'd never heard that before, and then he does it again, and he keeps doing it, and then that's when the Asian guy starts going click, click. The bone on the piece of rock, you know, and then they
invented music.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, whoever came up with that song, I mean, so he had to have something to do with that if he put it in the movie.
Yeah.
So I was thinking that maybe it was a Ringo Starr song or something. I didn't know, but I just thought, wow, that was really good.
I wouldn't doubt if Ringo and Lalo were sitting around one night in Mexico, just fucking around with things. And Ringo starts beating on things. He's
3 pitchers deep.
Yeah, after a few shots or whatever.
Yeah,
I can see him doing that. But I loved it. I thought it was a really good scene. It brought all the characters, and you could see the camera going around, you know, the campfire and looking at everybody's faces while they're making the noise. And then that one guy told you he really looked familiar, the blonde guy that had the beard, and I think he had a headband on or something, and he was taking the little old man's hand and sticking it in the fire, and he'd go, ah, you know, and then after a little bit, he was doing it without the guy doing it to him. You know, the little things like that, it brought you in to their new clan, because they had all been doing their own thing, and they one by one they were bumping into each other, getting to know each other, and then they ended up becoming their own little tight-knit group of friends by the end of the movie.
They went from outcasts to an actual tribe.
Yeah, and they brought it all together. And what sealed the deal basically was when he brings Barbara Bach back, and he sets her down. Everybody's putting blankets on her or skins and stuff like that. And then they asked where was his name, Lar? Yeah, where Lar is. They go, where's Lar or whatever? And Lar, and they're looking around. He was like, you know, glug glug, like he drowned. And there was like, no, you know, we got to go find him, basically. Even though they didn't say it, but that's what you feel. And when he's looking at her and she's trying to keep him there, you know, trying to control him, and he just says no, he has to go get his friend. So that showed me that even more bonding between the men of the group. And then I just thought that was good. And then when they left to go find Lar, that's when you see Shelley Long looking at her and going, I hate that woman. I'm going to get rid of her. So she's jealous. So she's jealous, and she sneaks off and goes over to the Tonga's clan, and that's when she gets Tonga to know that his woman's still alive, that she didn't drown, and she gets her to come back. And that's when all the guys that came with him take all the women. They take everyone and leave the old man there and stuff. And they leave. So now she's been kidnapped because she was jealous. Okay, see, I just like the story about it, the character arcs that you have. It's not a magnificent, 5-star movie, but it's a good, wholesome, classic comedy to me. It's got wonderful actors. It's got beautiful, beautiful, breathtaking scenery. The story's quirky and goofy, but it's a caveman movie. What do you can't expect it to be like, is this work of art in a museum? I wouldn't even look at it that way. And by looking at the cover, you definitely know it's not that. It's a comedy. But then you have the wonderful music. I mean, from the beginning to the end, it's all like, you're doing you can't help but move to the music and listen, or tap your finger or tap your foot, or smile because of it. I mean, you just get pulled in by the music, and the acting pulls you in, and you're rooting for them, and that's, like I said, if you're watching a movie and the bad guy's not bad, he's like, eh. Like the way Ringo looked at her, Shelley Long, when she goes, zug, zug, and he went, eh, like that. If you do that watching the whole movie, then it's not entertainment. So I didn't feel like that. I laughed almost through the whole movie. I was rooting for them to come together, for Shelley Long and him to end up being together, to fall in love. All the things that you're supposed to do happens. At least that's how it came across to me. And there was a couple little mistakes, like when Ringo was going to scare off that one matcha that came with the big horn on its face, and he picks up the pumpkin, or he takes the pumpkin from the little old man, and it's white. And when he throws it, it lands on the dinosaur, it's orange. Little mistakes like that. But that's that I can overlook stuff like that. But overall, I just thought it was a really, really well done little movie for a comedy, for sure. I really enjoyed it.
It was definitely great.
People watch it.
It makes me wonder, though. The term "zug zug" in the movie means to mate or have sex. I'm wondering if the guys at Blizzard that made Warcraft, when you click on the peon and direct him, and he goes zug zug, I wonder if that was taken from the movie.
Probably. A lot of people, I think,
look into that now.
Certain things. I mean, I didn't look up. Sometimes you can look up quotes. There used to be a guy that would sometimes come in our chat, and he had all the quotes. The famous quotes from the movie.
Wolf Den Media.
Yeah, and he always would put those out so we would know. Like, I'm your Huckleberry. You know exactly what movie that came.
Legendary.
From. So it depends on different things like that. And anyone that says zug zug, everyone knows what it means. I mean, I haven't talked to anybody really about it, but if I talk to anybody in Discord and I said zug zug, they would pretty much know that means, hey, let's get lucky or something, So I don't know.
Zug zug is the snoo snoo of today.
Yeah, snoo snoo.
Back then.
Oh yeah, that was good. That's a good one. But I just thought overall it was a good movie. It wasn't nasty in any way. It wasn't pornographic. Didn't have even the guy's butt when his pants got burned off, when he was farting, you didn't see anything. You just saw a little bit of his upper butt, the crack. That's butt. It. It wasn't gross. It wasn't, over the top to where it would make you go, oh, that's disgusting. The most disgusting thing was when he got pushed into the shit. But the way that happened was funny. They made it funny. So.
And that's where I'm really wondering about this film, because I wonder if the drama going on with Jim Danforth kind of helped drag this movie down in the at the time reviews, because you have this movie which is regarded by many people of Generation X. The boomers before us really hate this movie. Like, for some odd reason, on Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 33% from 21 critics. It was an average.
Is it from the professionals or from just the regular people?
It's hard to say.
because usually there's a professional and then there's the regular people. There's two different ratings on there.
Like if you got a bunch of people that are pissed off at somebody from a studio, they could be like, hey,
yeah,
tell their friends, give it a bad review.
When you told me about that one movie, the pirate movie, whatever, the one with Gina Davis, and that it had won the Guinness Book of World Records for the worst movie or biggest box office bomb or something like that. When people would talk about it, that's one reason why I'd never seen it. Because why would I want to pay for a movie that was the biggest bomb ever?
So authentic.
See, the audience score is higher.
33 for critics and 54 for audience, but that goes into the IMDb. IMDb only has like a 4.7 on IMDb,
something like that. Yeah,
it's weird because that's not the movie that I saw. The movie I saw was funny, and I laugh every time I watch it. I'm not looking for a high art. Oh, excuse me, he's got a 5.8 on IMDb, but still that's low. I would consider this movie to be rated by normies at least a 6 out of 10, maybe a 6.5, because you got Ringo Starr doing all his physical acting through the entire film. Everybody's a physical actor in this movie. The props look good. The dinosaurs are great looking. There's not a single problem I have. Okay, if you're a really technical critic where you're like, well, when it turns nighttime, you can tell there's still daylight out. If that was all of the movies filmed up to like 88, where they couldn't film at night.
You can't even really say that about this movie, because each time that it went down, it would go with a slide whistle, just like you said, and then you'd see the fake moon come up, and you'd see a dinosaur going "ow," howling to the moon. I mean, it's a comedy, and it's a spoof. It's not even has nothing to do with reality. So the way that they even did that was funny. So I don't know. Either, just like I said, either you like this type of comedy or you don't. I mean, I don't see any in between. You know what I mean? So, just like what my mom loved that show, Benny Hinn or something like that. And he had a little bald guy always slapping him around and shit. And my mom would just laugh. My mom and grandma would just laugh. And I could hear my grandma's belly laugh. So stuff in that must have been really, really funny for her to laugh. And, if they thought Benny Hill, is that what you said his name was? If they thought he was Benny funny, Hill. Wouldn't they think this was funny? That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what people.
It's something that you have to experience, I think. Like if people are unsure, broaden your horizons. That's all I got to say. Get out there and start watching stuff.
This was funny. This made me laugh. I actually laughed. I smiled. I know my face is going to hurt a little bit tomorrow from all the laughing and smiling, not just because of the movie, but listening to you guys react to it too. That's why I love going to movies with people. You know what I mean? Because you can hear them laugh and you're like, oh, they love it. That was funny. It's just entertaining to go with people that enjoy that type of stuff. But then I watched that movie Jackass, or TV show Jackass. I didn't think it was that funny at all, So I guess I don't enjoy some of the stuff that people think today is slapstick humor, because to me that isn't. I don't know. I don't think Jackass is slapstick humor.
If Janet does manage to live 200 years from now, and Ow My Balls is not the number one show, I know she's evolved into a film and TV critic, and she's drug it down. She drug down the score.
Probably. But the thing is, I can't help it. I'm trying to be as honest as I can about it, but I don't understand why anyone would watch this and expect it to be like, a 5-star movie, because you can tell by looking at the poster what you're going to be getting, You can't. I'm not going to go watch Caveman thinking it's going to win an Oscar. Anyone that would think that, I feel sorry for them, because I don't know what to tell you. It's definitely not that.
I don't understand where you got that idea from. I mean, I'm looking at the movie poster right here, and This looks like highbrow comedy, highbrow Shakespearean.
You see, that's exactly what we got from this movie, and I thought it was great. But that's what I expected. Just like, what was the other one? The Blazing Saddles.
Yes.
Anyone that went to see Blazing Saddles thinking it was going to be like, what was it, Quest for Gandhi or something? I don't remember. I don't know. Yeah, something. But the thing is that then you're going to be sad. You're not going to enjoy your movie because that isn't what you're going to get from it. That's why it's so important for you to know what you're seeing, or at least what the story's about before you go. You know what I mean? Or you're going to be bummed out.
It also had the best Beatle out of the bunch.
Yes, we will say that with agreement, Ringo Starr is the best Beatle.
Well, I don't really
know
the Beatles.
I will die on that hill.
I'll die on a hill happily because he didn't marry a useless twat like Yoko Ono.
Well, the only other Beatle that I remember growing up was Paul McCartney, because he did other things. He wasn't just singing on albums and being in concert. He would do TV shows and interviews and stuff like that. So that I remember him from those. And the same thing with Ringo Starr. I saw Ringo Starr in other things. So that's the only reason I even knew who he was, because I didn't really listen to the Beatles.
Just watch A Hard Day's Night and pay attention to Ringo, and it will all become clear.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that movie before.
My aunt was a big Beatles fan, and she wanted me to be a big Beatles fan too. And that I listened to the Beatles, and I think there's one song of theirs I like, and that's "Living Daylights" or "You Were Young in Your Heart." Guns N' Roses did a cover of it, and it turned out to be a better song.
Mm-hmm.
The only Beatles that I remember was the one the song that I think it was Paul McCartney. He sang a song with Michael Jackson. Can't remember the name of the song right now. I have to look it up. But I remember that being on the radio. Trying to remember all these things, but I just remember Paul McCartney a lot, on shows. So, you only know what you know because you see it. And I liked Elvis because my mom loved Elvis, and we went to she pretty much dragged us to the Graceland every year after he died. So we went every year. Because my mom loved Elvis.
Hopefully you guys didn't get interrupted a second ago.
Oh yeah,
I saw you drop out, but I didn't know what happened. I just saw you and you came right back. So.
I had to mute because my aunt was trying to get the dogs to shut up, and might be construed as animal abuse.
I think I hear a puppy in the background.
Here's
something
that was probably Harley.
Yeah. I found this. It said around 1978, one of this movie's producers, Lawrence Turman, saw comedian Buddy Hackett in a caveman loincloth in a sketch on The Tonight Show and thought, wouldn't it be a great idea to do a prehistoric comedy? He said, as a kid, I loved the film 1 Million Years BC. It came out in 1966. And the thought of doing a picture like that, using the same wardrobe and the same language, but played for laughs, seemed like a great idea. So that's where Lawrence Turman came up with that whole concept of the movie. And I thought it was funny. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really, really, really good. And the fact that they didn't use regular language, but what made the zug zug and the bobo and all that stuff funny was the fact they put an Asian man in there with a lizard, that would point out food, that was funny. But they had him; he was super smart and he spoke regular English, so it made the rest of it funny. So little things like that is, to me, very needed in comedy, to make fun of you.
It's stuff that you don't see in comedy nowadays, unless
nobody's allowed to make fun of anyone anymore.
There's a niche crowd that still does it, but like most Hollywood comedies are just rubber rinse repeat.
Yeah,
but the nuance is gone.
Yeah. So, I'm just thankful that we get to do this each week and we get to watch old good movies that were good, and I hopefully they're still going to make some more good movies. We watched that movie Notorious, and it's a newer movie. It was a newer movie, and it was good. It was entertaining. It was different. It was unique. But I just don't see that many anymore. I just don't see.
It takes a little digging, but they're out there.
Deadpool, I really enjoyed it. I went and saw it, and I laughed. I was it was great. And when I saw Blade, and I saw Elektra, and all these other characters that were thrown in the trash heap, I thought it was great. I thought it was a great movie. And Blade is even older comic book hero or person than Wolverine, basically. So I thought it was great. I loved it. And Blade is in the my favorite series, like I told you, the Ghost Rider's in the Midnight Suns. I just love that series. If you guys ever get to read it, and then you read it and tell me what you think, because I think it's the best series ever.
I'll look for it.
It's interesting how Blade has evolved from I'm going to get you, sucker, total 70s blaxploitation cliche to this total badass Dom Pierre running around.
And I thought he did an excellent job when I went to the movies too. So, and I loved him in this one. And I love the fact when they were driving up in the desolate wasteland where they were thrown, right? And you see Ant-Man as a giant, and he's dead, his corpse in his costume, and his hands open up, and they drive in, and then they go back closed again. I just thought that was cool. And they all live inside of Ant-Man's head. I just thought it was cool. The whole thing was really, really well done. It was some gross scenes, like that dog licking him all over his face and stuff. Ugh, some of that was disgusting, but it was still good. Did you get to see it, Bruce?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you need to go take your wife and see it.
Oh, we have. She hasn't told me when she wants to go see it yet.
Well, tell her you're ready. You're gonna take her because you guys are gonna enjoy it. It's a good movie. Okay. It's really good.
Fair enough. I gotta ask the chat if you've seen the movie Caveman before. What's your score? We'll have Janet and Joshua read those off to you.
Okay, it sounds good. Well, what's your score, Bruce?
I'm going to say that my film score for Caveman, I'm going to give it an 81%. This is a movie that reliably, every time I watch it, I find myself finding something new or enjoyable in it, or I find myself Googling information about the movie, about the various things that happened in the film. What was this guy's name, or what was the trivia behind this scene? And I never have a bad time watching this movie. This is one of those quintessential films that it's like Airplane for me. I mean, I've never had a bad viewing of Airplane, the movie. That's just a comedy classic. So an 81
or two.
Yeah,
I'm in that camp of both of those comedy classic.
Yeah.
Especially if you saw the damn 70s disaster films that they're based off of,
for 0 Hour.
Oh God. Yeah.
If you're familiar with those movies, then Airplane's perfect. And there was a period of American history where comedy movies went through this golden age. Like you had Animal House, the Blues Brothers, Airplane, this movie come out, and this to me is in that golden age of comedy because there were some genuinely funny, almost like slob comedies that came out. And this movie is kind of crass because it does rely on poop and fart jokes, but it's funny because fart jokes, lighting your farts on fire is hilarious. I don't care who you are. It's even funnier if the person burns their ass hair when they're trying to get a fart lit. I know you guys are like, oh my God, look, he's talking about fart jokes and lighting his farts on fire. But when you do it physically,
I've got a family story about that.
But it wasn't done. It wasn't done bad.
It's not malicious.
They did it. They made it funnier by the way they did it in this movie. See, the whole shit thing. Okay, when you have them walking along and the camera is zoomed up to their shoulders and their faces and stuff, and then you see the lead person go, and then you see the next person go. they all start sniffing, and you're looking around and you're thinking someone's going to say who farted or something like that, right? But then all of a sudden it zooms out slowly, and they're standing in a huge pile of shit, okay, of some dinosaur shit, and they're looking around, and then they say Ta. They realize they can't find Ta, because remember earlier that egg had been set on top of him, and they couldn't find him, and they had to lift the egg up to get him out, right? So now they think he's in the shit, that he fell down or he sunk in or whatever. So they all start digging because they care about him. See, they're friends, and they're all digging around, and you see them. They got shit all over their hands and their arms, and then all of a sudden you see him come walking out from the crack between those two rocks, and he's adjusting his pants, and then he's looking at him, and he starts laughing, and he says, "Caca." I laugh every time because it's just funny, the looks on their face. Okay, they didn't say anything, and then he says "Caca," and they all get mad, and then they shove him into the shit face first, and that's when the Asian guy goes shit. Just the way it rolls out is funny, and it's entertaining. So it's
the comedic timing is perfect for that whole thing.
It's not the same as just saying shit or poop or someone slipping in poop. It's just not the same because of the way that it's played out in the scene. It makes it totally unique in its own way, and that's why this movie is as good as and funny as it is, because they don't use it the same old, over and over thing, like where they're slipping on a banana peel every scene, or something. They don't overdo it. See, remember I watched Spaceballs with you, and I told you that it was funny, but it was too predictable. You knew exactly that they were going to do this and they were going to do that, and it was just kind of drawn out. It was I don't know. It was like
it was kind of dated.
Yeah, it was very dated. It was worn out the way that they did it. It was like you already knew it was about to happen before it did. You didn't in this because of the camera, the way the camera angles, the close-ups, and then backing away, and all the different things that the director used made it new. It made that shit joke funny. You see, the
way the comedy was done, it wasn't done in such a way where it was like, oh, this is the current thing that we can laugh about, like Spaceballs. Some of the jokes fit that era. This was more of a universal humor type of thing, and it worked well. It worked very well. I would rate it, 80% out of 100 as well. Like this is one of those movies where, like, you feel good watching it, you laugh your ass off. If you have a bunch of friends over and you're all, chilling and cutting loose, like, this is a great party movie.
Yeah, it is. It's a good movie to put you in a good mood.
And now that we're discussing this and like various other films, like in this wheelhouse of caveman comedy, then you got, your Quest for Fire, which is a solid caveman movie. Then you got Clan of the Cave Girl with Daryl Hannah, and that was a solid prehistoric movie. And 1 Million BC with Victor Mature and Lon Chaney Jr. That's a classic. God, what was the other one that I was thinking of? Oh yeah, I Was a Teenage Caveman. You want something with a twist? Watch that one.
And
that's
isn't
a low
there
budget.
A new one about to come out about them finding a frozen
Iceman came out in 1984.
Oh, a new one. Isn't there a trailer out for another one that's about to come out?
There might be.
There's also Iceman of 2017, which is based off of Litzy the Iceman. Franco Nero, I think, plays the lead. Oh, it's awesome. Like, if you know anything about the Iceman of the Italian Alps, like, going in knowing that and then seeing how it plays out, like, it's a solid flick. It's really good. Of course, there's also Encino Man. And then if you want to get technical with the whole primitive caveman, then you could watch Altered States. And that dives into the psyche.
Is that the one where people are in like these water tanks or something?
Yes.
Okay.
The guy reverts back to his more primitive state of mind.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
I haven't seen it in years. I need to find it.
But yeah, this movie is really funny. You get the gist of everything that they're saying, even though there's no dialect in it, no English words, no actual words besides the few that the Asian uses. And he goes, okay, zug zug. He gives in because he realized you can't argue with a caveman, basically, which is funny. Just everything about it. They made fun of each other. It was just well done. I thought it was tasteful, but corny, and I don't know. I just loved it. And the costumes were cute. They fit what they were supposed to be wearing. And just like I said, the musical score was my favorite of this whole thing. And then the scenery was just phenomenal where they filmed it, because it actually looked like the cave that they went in. I'm sure it was a set, but it looked like they were going into a cave and that it was set up.
It's not just another movie near Carlsbad Caverns or Southern California. It had some good locations.
Yeah, it was very well done. I thought the director accomplished what I read earlier about him seeing that one scene from that TV show and thought, oh, I think I could do a story about it and make a comedy out of it and it actually be fun. So I thought it was good. I really, really enjoyed it. And I recommend anyone that likes
it. The dinosaurs reminded me of the dinosaurs from the show Dinosaurs. That's what it was.
What show?
They had dinosaurs.
Oh, the TV
from the
show?
Early 90s.
Is that where the baby says not to mama?
Yes.
They had that dopey look to them.
Yeah. They had the big doughy eyes, But the big giant T-Rex, it had the hands that was rubbing its hands like this and licking its lips when he was wanting to eat Ringo. I just thought that was just hilarious. But the thing is, it looked like the dinosaurs that I had when I was a kid, because I had my littlest sister was born and I wasn't allowed to have really hard things with pokey ends or anything on it. So my mom made me get these squishy, soft dinosaurs because I love dinosaurs and stuff like that when I was a kid. And she made me get the squishy ones, and I don't know where she got them, but you could squeeze them and their head would swell up a little bit. They kind of like, they were doughy. Like I'd have to get online and try to look them up. I wish I still had them. I bet they're probably worth money now because I took pretty good care of my toys. But that's what it reminded me of. I just thought this T-Rex in this movie, I would love to have a toy that looked like one of those. Even the other one was cute, but the T-Rex was my favorite.
He was a very doughy looking T-Rex, I might say.
It was funny. And then when he fell off the cliff and he fell in slow motion, he was like wobbling in midair. And then he fell and you're thinking, oh, it's dead. And then they show you the next shot. He's laying on this edge of cliff rock that's sticking out. And he's like all stoned, basically. I just thought it was good. I thought they did a really good job at not making it. Even the scenes with the one guy got eaten by the matcha, and it carried him off. Mm-hmm. You didn't see blood and gore. Didn't need any of that. They didn't have to add anything. You just could use your own judgment to know.
To the pterodactyl too. Like that was a brief scene, but the wingspan on that thing was impressive.
I thought it was great. And the egg falling and happened to land on the geyser, so it gets cooked, steamed. I just thought it was neat. And then how they went and they tore off big sections of the egg white. It was just, I just thought it was really good. I thought it was funny, entertaining, and I could still watch it again and laugh. I laugh every time when I think about 2 or 3 of those scenes for sure, because to me it's classic comedy. It's just hilarious.
I'm conflicted. I don't know which scene I like better. Is it the scene where they are getting ready to go to sleep and the dragonfly pays a visit? Or is it the scene where...
I love that.
That was fun.
Where Dennis Quaid pulls himself out of the icy water, leans against the icy cavern wall, and pisses ice cubes. I don't know. I'm conflicted.
That was funny, too.
Like
Yeah, and when that's how they found the trail of where he went, because the yellow stain and the footprints. Yeah, that was funny. That looked like a fun scene too, going down the slide and then
Poor
being down
Lars.
the big monster. That was a cool costume.
yeah, and Richard Mole from Night Court was the big abominable snowman type.
Yeah, that reminds me. That's another movie I want to put on the list. Remember the movie? It was called House. Had Richard Mole in it.
Yes.
Oh, that's a good scary movie. We need to do that one. When you said Richard Mole that one time, I was like, oh, there's a movie he's in, but I can't remember the name of it. But it popped in my head just now, and I'm like, yeah, that's a good movie too. I love scary movies, so.
Richard Mole has been in a bunch of movies that I like, TV shows. Particularly an episode of Monsters where he plays a demon that summons an accountant because he fudged up on the summoning. And so now the accountant has to come up with like a way to find gold for this guy, or else he's going to be like tortured. And so he summons his own demon, and then they work to capture the summoner. And it's a funny little comedic bit with demon summoning. And Richard Mole plays the bad warlock or whatever.
Well, I hope that everybody that stopped in today and got to hear a little bit about this that hasn't seen this movie will at least give it a chance and just to watch it. If they like comedy, I just don't know anyone that likes comedy that wouldn't enjoy this movie and laugh through the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who wouldn't like this film. This is one of my favorite go-to films, guilty pleasure movies.
Definitely, I laughed. I've seen it like I think 14 times,
something like
now,
that,
and I still laugh at this. Even thinking about some of the scenes, I can't help but laugh because it was just it was so well done. It was well performed. The facial expressions of all the people, the actors did phenomenal jobs as their part to make the comedy work. Just like that interview I was telling you about with Barbara Bach, when she said she was shocked that they picked Ringo Starr to be the opposite in this movie as one of the leads. When she said, "Why didn't you get Dudley Moore?" And then she ends up marrying him, a year later. So I just think it's funny from that interview. But I was really shocked how well Ringo Starr did in this movie, even though he really didn't have to act. He didn't have to, act by using language and talking and stuff. It was almost all done with facial expressions and motion, how they reacted to each other, and that I can't believe how good it was and how funny it was without really having any dialogue. It was really funny. We all laughed because I heard both of you guys laughing in there.
True. Yeah, this is a movie that's held up 43 years later, and it'll probably hold up for another 43.
Yeah, and Barbara Bach, they were still married, right? They're still married.
Together.
Yeah, and I read some cool facts about it afterward when I was looking it up, that he was the first Beatle to be a grandpa, and he was the first Beatle to be a great-grandpa. So that's
doing something right.
So, he did. Yeah, his first wife died, didn't she?
I think so.
Yeah, I think she was like 40-something years old. She died from some disease or something, but so when he met her on set, for some reason, some kind of sparks ignited, and within a year they were married. So, and they've been married ever since. So that was in 1981. So they got married in like 1982. So that's romance right there. And the best way to somebody's heart is make them laugh. If you can make them laugh and keep them happy and keep a smile on their face, it's like you said, if you can sit down with somebody and you enjoy the same things together and the same things make you happy, why wouldn't you be happy together? because you enjoy each other's company and you both enjoy the same shit. That's even better. So it means you can have fun together while you're doing something you both love. And that's what he ended up getting with Barbara Bach. So I'm happy for him.
You know who I always thought I always thought Catherine Bach and Barbara were related. I always thought those two were like sisters, but they just have the same last name. Catherine Bach, Daisy Duke.
Oh no, I don't. Yeah, I guess they could be related, but isn't she British?
I believe Barbara Bach's British.
Yeah. So.
Go ahead, there, Josh.
I was going to say, like 8 years later, he later starred for the first season in Shining Time Station as the conductor. Yeah. Before
he did a lot of took over. He did a lot.
He's done some bits here and there. Yeah, he's made his person known through his music and a couple of movies and TV shows, and like I said earlier, he's the best Beatles. So,
well,
not surprising.
The music that I have listened to from the Beatles, it was good, and they had to have been good, or they wouldn't be, a phenomenon like they are now. They're nobody's. I mean, it's not very many bands as big as the Beatles, at least that I know of.
Yeah, my aunt and uncle, they were heavily influenced by music. My aunt, she was classically trained and then got into jazz. And my uncle was a drummer who did jazz, and he was heavily influenced by the Beatles. They actually put out a version of their own of the White Album, and it was interesting looking back, like how these musicians affected their lives. And here Ringo is in one of the best comedies that I've seen in my lifetime.
I just found something else I thought was interesting. It says when showing this movie at old drive-in theaters in Australia, every ticket holder was given a pamphlet with approximately 30 caveman words and an English translation for each word to listen for throughout the movie. So they went above and beyond different things they had to do, I guess, to get people to understand what was going on, apparently, in other countries. But I just think that was funny. That seemed different. I never heard of anybody doing something like that before. So I thought that was interesting.
That's got to be a trip. You're in some foreign country. You're aware of America. And so, like Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Gap, Levi's, whatever, pop culture stuff is going on. And then you watch this movie and it's like, okay, did they say something in English? Fire and shit? That was it? Like, what's
basically
going on here?
So, but you got to remember, in other countries still, like in I think it's in England when they say, or I know a friend of mine that goes to Norway a lot, and she'll say, I'm gonna go out and have a fag. Okay, so she's gonna smoke a cigarette. Or they call a fanny is not a fanny. We call a fanny, which is a butt, but a fanny over there is the front is a fanny. So they think it's funny that people call it a fanny pack, and they're like, why would anyone want one of those? I don't know. They just laugh. A torch is a flashlight. I mean, they just have all these different words that mean something totally different to us. It's just interesting. And I do a lot of spaces where I go when I have some friends that are from Australia, and their dialect is a lot different. Different words mean different things. And they laugh and they use the C word a lot, but it doesn't mean the same thing as it does here, So it's I can be in a space and not be offended at all by certain words, but when I hear that same word by someone I know is from America, it pisses me off. I mean, I don't know how to explain it any different than that, but you learn these things, and I just think it's really interesting. And the differences between like The Spy Who Shagged Me, you know, we would never have a movie called that over here, you know, because you know, if we change the word shag to the word that it means for us, we would never have a title of a movie named that. See what I mean? So I just think it's hilarious, the differences about the way that we absorb information and how they absorb information and put information out. The differences is, to me, it's very intriguing and interesting. Sorry, I killed the room. But
no, I was just thinking, like, I grew up in a college town, so like I got to hang out with Aussies and Irish foreign exchange students, and there were some pretty hot Russian foreign exchange students too. But like you spend a weekend with folks, and you get to find the subtle nuances in language, and you find commonality in what you're doing, hanging out and whatnot. Maybe over a pitcher of beer and a couple rounds of pool or whatnot, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say, Guns of Grenache, he said, see this movie. You need to watch it. I think you'd really like it. Did you say you have a link for it? You've already put the link for that movie in the chat?
I'll put it back up in the chat here. Give me a second.
Okay. But if anybody's interested in watching, I do recommend you watch it if you like good comedy. And it's just fun. The score is really, really good. It puts you in the mood. You can't help but laugh. Everybody in the space when we were watching it, or in the room on Discord, were laughing out loud. I mean, it was just, there's some scenes that more people laughed at, some more than others, but there's a couple scenes that I absolutely loved that are my favorite, and they're still my favorite out of all the times I've watched it, like 14 times. But in the dragonfly scene, I've forgotten about it until I saw them lay there, and I was like, "Oh God, I forgot about this scene," because it's funny. I mean, and it's disgusting. That's the most disgusting scene.
It's funny. It's gross. It's terrifying if you think about it. Like,
yeah, but
a mosquito that size
than the giant pile of shit. So I just thought,
yeah,
it's disgusting. I started going, oh my God, I'm a gag. You know, the thought of it, even though I know it isn't real, but you can't help it. It's gross. It's a gross scene.
It makes me think of the horseflies up here.
But it was funny, and you didn't know what it was going to do. That was huge. I mean, honestly, I would have a heart attack if a bug that big landed on my face. So the whole concept of it was really cool. But I just thought it was funny. It had some really good stuff in it. If you want a good laugh, it's a perfect movie just to, you know, get you some snacks, your favorite alcoholic beverage, and sit back and relax and enjoy this movie. You're going to laugh. You're going to like it. It's definitely worth your time. And how long was this movie? An hour and 10 minutes or something?
91 minutes.
Oh, 91 minutes. Okay. Well, it was good.
It was
perfect. So under 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
This is literally the perfect length for a movie, according to Red Letter Media. I disagree. I want a 2-hour movie, but for comedy, 90 minutes is good. This movie is damn near perfect for the content that it has. I don't have any conflict with this movie, except for the fact that they fucked over Jim Danforth, and that
yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That really sad.
They did him wrong there.
He did a great job on the dinosaurs. And they were funny. You know, he made the dinosaurs they weren't even scary. Okay. They were fun. You know, they were fun and scary. You know, I'll never forget this scene. I just can't help it to see him doing this with his little hands, you know, because he's got little arms because he's a T-Rex, and then he's licking his lips. I'm going to eat this guy. And he's thinking about it. It's just funny. He made dinosaurs that had personality.
Beware.
You know?
Yeah. The look of that one dinosaur when Ringo goes to grab the lizard on the rock because he's starving. Everybody's basically jacked him for his food. and he finds the one lizard, and he goes to grab it, and he looks over, and that ginormous Gila monster gecko-looking thing is just eyeballing him all kooky-eyed, and you can tell the personality of the dinosaur. He's like, "Oh, grub's on the table now." Like, good God, it's hilarious.
Yeah, it was funny. It was funny, and the fact that you had that whatever dinosaur it was like a cross between a horny toad and a gecko and a chameleon or something. It was like all twisted and weird looking, and had a horn sticking out of the front. That one was eating vegetables and meat. I wish I'd never seen, in the dinosaur world, because it's either eats meat or it doesn't, that type of thing. But it was still funny, and all the work that he went through to get it, and then him throwing that pumpkin and it getting stuck on his horn where he can't see. He couldn't focus on anything because all he could see was the big giant pumpkin on his horn. Couldn't focus on anything else. So little things that he did like that I thought were funny. Now I did kind of have a little hint of, I felt sorry for the one that he stabbed with the giant branch and it kept burping. That one.
Yeah.
The T-Rex, I kind of felt sorry for it, even though I know the two monsters that he made, they used over and over again in the movie, because those are the only two dinosaurs besides the pterodactyl. Now that was a good, impressive scene. Beautiful, big cavern, in the ground, and the giant egg. That they did a great job on that. I wonder how they made that. I wonder what they made it with. I know it didn't have anything in it; it was hollow. But for a prop, it was that was really cool. And the scene when they were running around it, the two groups of people running around the egg over and over again, that was funny. So there was a lot of slapstick comedy in it, but it wasn't worn out. You know what I mean? They did it. It was fresh. It was like fresh and new. They took slapstick from the past and made it a whole fresh movie with it. I just loved it. Plus the music is what
it wasn't cliche.
Yeah, it was good. It was new.
This movie's so good that actually there should be a bunch of memes of various scenes in this movie where anybody who's seen it can relate, because we've all had those moments where you're as content, you think you've done something good, and you just like smashed the dragonfly on your friend's face and you roll over to go back to sleep with that happy little smile on your face.
Meanwhile, he was gagging behind him because I was starting to go, "Oh my God, I'm going to throw up if this lasts too long."
The guts of the dragonfly are drizzling down his nasal passages and mouth. It's so fucking good. Oh my God.
It's gross. It was really gross, but it was funny as hell. I mean, it really was funny. But yeah, it was just fresh. It was a fresh look at slapstick to me. Gave you a whole new story around it. The things that did happen, they had purpose. It wasn't like just somebody slipping on a banana peel over and over and over again. It had, everything had a meaning for it. It was in there because it needed to be there for that scene. So I just loved it. I thought it was really, really good. And it has a good happy ending. The hero wins, and I like that. It didn't leave you hanging, and it wasn't gruesome. There wasn't, blood and gore. They didn't need any of that to make the story entertaining. So you got to see cleavage, lots of cleavage and stuff, and a little bit of hiney. But even the fart stuff, where the one guy's running and he's farting, and you see the giant flame shooting out, it wasn't even gross. You know what I mean? It didn't get gross or anything. So it was funny.
It's tastefully done. It's culturally enriching, and it will make you think.
Mm-hmm. If you like the guy that sets his farts on fire, if you think he's funny in this, look up Avery Schreier on IMDb and just start YouTubing or getting media clips of his earlier stuff from like Laugh-In or other comedy stuff he's done, because the guy is a gold mine of just good comedy, and he's sorely missed now. His type no longer exists in Hollywood, but we can always hope, right? I mean, we got Matt Rife to be fucking cancel proof. He makes fun of retards. He's like, if you got offended he's saying for retard, here's what I can offer you, and he gives him a link for Amazon to buy a retard helmet. And I mean that to me is perfect. I think comedy is going to pave the way for us to get out of this stupid woke bullshit. This movie, highly recommended by the three of us. Go watch it. Nah, matcha. There he is.
Yeah.
Or a toque, and they run to each other in the first 20 minutes. They fix each other. It's great.
Yeah. And he's hopping on one foot. I just thought that was so funny that his leg got wrapped around the other leg and he couldn't undo it himself. It was so corny and dumb, but it was funny. You know, it's still funny. Because anyone that sees this movie and doesn't like it, I don't know how you can like it. You must not like comedy. That's the only thing that could possibly be the reason why you wouldn't want to watch it.
To be fair, Janet, there are people out there that don't like comedies. They just find them to be crass or wastes of time. There are entire demographics of people that don't like comics. You know, that's sad, but it's to be expected, especially in today's world. Next week, you know what movie we're watching?
No.
The City of Lost Children, which I've never heard of before.
I've never heard of it either.
That's going to be trippy.
Well, who?
Because you can go
watch it.
It looks like a foreign film.
I know, but who?
Yeah, it's a French film.
I think Crafty
TCG, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think Crafty Gamer requested it.
Okay, is this the one that you showed me a trailer for?
Nope.
Okay, so I haven't seen anything for this before then. So after we're
Ron
done,
Perlman plays the strongman.
I've never heard of it.
It's a trippy movie. Like the story itself is pretty fantastical and out there. The sets, they're all dreamy. Like it's supposed to be based in reality, but it's not. Like the way things are, like it's really trippy. And then you start doing a deep dive, like into the symbolism and stuff on it, and you can go so far down the rabbit hole.
And it's one of those weird movies that actually does steampunk well.
Yeah.
Well, Wolf Media said the Asian caveman is more evolved than the others. Yeah, I was talking about that earlier. I didn't see you in the chat yet, but the part where when the little guy, Lar, is his name Lar or Ta or whatever? Lar. Ta, yeah.
Lar is Dennis Quaid.
They think that Ta fell in the pile of shit. And they're all sticking their heads in there, trying to find him and calling his name, and then he comes walking out between the rocks and he's fixing his pants, and then he looks down and sees what they're doing, and he goes, see, I still laugh every time. He goes, caca. Just can't help but laugh at it. And then they all look at him, and the Asian guy goes, shit.
No, yeah.
Down in the shit. It's the funniest scene in this movie, but it's so funny. The look on all their faces, the way they're all reacting, because they smell something when they first walk into it, because it's not that strong because it's covered. You know, after a few hours, shit kind of gets like a coating on it, right? So when they step into it, it releases, and you see them going. So you think it's going to be a poop joke or a fart joke or whatever. And then you see them say that. And before they look and they look at their hands, and they're
literally elbow deep in it.
Yeah, it's just a funny scene. And it didn't make me gag or anything, but it was funny. I couldn't stop laughing. I was just laughing my butt off because it is a well done scene. And there's like 7 people in this scene. Do you know how hard it is to do comedy with every single person doing such a good job that the whole scene is just hilarious? You know what I mean? That's hard. Just having 1 or 2 people or 3 people in a scene bouncing off each other to get other people to laugh is already hard. But to have that many people in one scene and everyone laughs because of it, that's well done. That's very good direction from the director and great actors to make it that good. But I just love that scene. And the little guy, the dwarf guy, the character in this movie, he is a phenomenal actor because he is funny as heck. Everything he does is funny.
Crafting Gamer says the City of Lost Children might be the first movie I can honestly say it might be a dud. I'll look for a French version with subtitles first, but if we're stuck with the English version, I got the English version on speed dial.
I'm going to challenge that. I didn't think it was dud. I enjoyed it, but
it looks
I'm also me, so
I haven't seen it yet. We'll watch it for the first time next week, but it's
if you like strange steampunk and just I'll say foreign. If you like foreign movies, not the usual Hollywoodisms, it's a decent movie.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can't wait to see it. I haven't seen it, but if it's going to have subtitles and stuff, I really like movies like that. I like foreign movies. There's another movie that just popped in my head that's really, really good, and it's a foreign film. It's called High Tension. Have you guys seen it?
Oh, the Mel Brooks movie?
No.
That's High Anxiety.
Oh, no, that was High Anxiety. My bad.
High Anxiety, is that what it was called? Are you sure?
High Anxiety was the Mel Brooks one. You're talking about a different movie.
High Tension, it's got two young women supposedly traveling, and there's a serial killer or whatever. It's really, really good.
Sounds familiar.
I would like to pick that. And
was that I want to say relatively recent, like in the last, 10, 15, 20 years, something like that?
I'm going to give him one. He's on my stream. I'm going to do that real quick. I have to.
Might have been a different title or something.
I think it's called High Tension, and it's a foreign film, and it was really, really, really good.
The guy has a straight razor.
I don't know if he does. Which one are you talking about?
Damn, now I'm going to have to look that up. Yeah, High Tension.
Yeah, look that up. It's really good. It's really, really scary too. I really thought it was a great movie.
I might have seen that. I'll definitely look it up.
But hold on, I'm trying to get to mine.
She's going to give a wrench to the Crafting
Yeah,
Gamer.
I want to go to I got to go to my channel real quick. Just give me 1 second.
On us.
I'm trying to do it on my phone because I can't do it on the computer because I have it on the other stuff right now. So hold on.
We'll get an echo.
I often thought if we all met at some sort of cosplay convention or something like that, no one would really recognize me unless I was wearing a onesie, coveralls with a blue wrench and 6 Nations, 31 Kings on the back or something like that. Moderator. Because Janet's known for all her cosplay. And so she would have something super awesome. I don't do cosplay.
No.
I've been a YouTube groupie for so long in the chats that once I got the moderator status, it's they should recognize that. A blue wrench? Yeah.
No offense, 6 Nations, but you could pull off a hell of a Bob Villa. If you ever want to cosplay,
this old crack house. No offense, Angry Cops. I would totally spoof that.
Okay, I'll remember that. Congratulations on your new wrench there, Crafting Gamer.
Yay!
That's 78
yeah,
cents.
but see, it's hard to tell when I'm in here. It doesn't look the same. I'm in StreamYard, so it looks different than it does on my channel, when I'm over there. So.
Remember, great responsibility, blah, 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 blah.
For some people, not for everyone.
Start out with a 3-minute timeout.
But yeah, I do recommend this movie for anyone. Not for really small kids, but there's nothing in it. There's no nudity. There's only one dirty word, which is shit, because most of it's just other words, that they make up for the cavemen to use. So, you just don't have that much. The music is really good. The kids probably get a kick out of the dinosaurs because they're funny and they're comical. They're cute. They're not scary, like Godzilla and stuff like that. So, yeah, this is a pretty funny movie. I really enjoyed it.
I'll disagree with you, Jen.
It's a lighthearted romp into comedy, and you'll enjoy it.
You disagree with what?
I disagree with you, Janet, because I think this movie is perfect for anybody ages 8 to 88. And I honestly think that like little kids would probably get the most out of this film, except for the adult humor. Because of the dinosaurs, they would be focusing on the dinosaur scene so much, and then whenever it goes back to just like the live action humans wandering around, they'd probably turn back and just go back to their Fisher Price toys or
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I don't think it would be a bad thing that if you're watching it and you have kids running around. Is what I'm saying.
Don't forget to take out your trash cans.
Okay, I take my trash out today. She just reminded me. Sorry.
Is there anything else we need to add about this film, or are we gonna?
No, I already gave my score. I posted it in the chat. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10, and most of it is because of the music. The all through the movie was just phenomenal. I absolutely loved it, and I don't really brag that much about the score of any movie normally, unless it's a musical. But this one's not even really meant to be a musical, but the music makes it better. Okay, it makes you enjoy each of the scenes with the music's part of it. It brings you into the characters and what's going on in the scene. I just love that. I think this director did a phenomenal job at bringing the very best out of all of his actors that to get people to love them and want to root for them to win. And root for the bad people not to win, that type of thing. The director did a really good job at having a good eye about what he wanted us to see and get from his movie. And I just think he did a great job at it, considering it was a comedy and it was, a slapstick comedy. So.
I could agree with that. I could agree with that.
I mean, it's just hard not to laugh at stuff like this. It's just really good. So I hope everybody that hasn't seen it gets a chance to see it and can, come back and comment later on one of our pages and say, hey, I watched the movie and it was shit or whatever. Like the other guy that you mentioned earlier, that he didn't agree with the movie being any good.
I mean, History of Violence was hard for me to watch the first time too. I loved it when I watched it the second time. The first time I watched it, I didn't like it that much.
Well, I had never seen it.
That was the opposite. I saw it and I was like, wow. Like this gave me such a high. It was like just bam, bam, bam. And then I saw it again and I was like, I like this even more.
It was definitely a very hard movie to watch. I mean, it's very, God, I don't know what the word is now that I'm trying to think of it. It was very real.
Traumatizing?
Yeah, it was very real. It really put you
if you're not used to that sort of thing, you're going to be like, holy crap.
Yeah, it was very intense. I was gritting my teeth a lot while I was watching it and clenching my fists, that type of thing. It really pulls you into the tension of it. You know what I mean? And then last week when we watched, what was it called again? That we watched last, General's Daughter. Oh, some of those scenes just tore me up. I mean, it really did. Even though I'm glad I got to see it because it made me understand why she was such a bitch. And you need that insight to help you understand where character's coming from, and they did a really good job at making me almost, it almost made me cry because I felt so bad for this girl and why she was making the dumb decisions that she was making. So yeah, it was tough. It was a tough movie last week. But that's why I was so glad
I grew up watching horror movies, so like I've been tempered to graphic violence and stuff. There's still stuff out there like it has to be super cringe for me to get creeped out. But like, for the average person that doesn't live and thrive off of like gratuitous horror or violent movies, like it can be a shocker.
Well, it's just that the realism of it, it's sometimes it's hard to take sometimes, especially if the person if someone in your family or someone close to you has been through something traumatic like that, and you can almost put yourself in the scene. I mean, not saying that you're the victim, but that you're almost like you're there, and you can feel the tension and the I don't know, the fear of wanting to get the fuck out of here. That type of, you just want away. You don't want it to see it because you know what's about to happen and you can't do anything about it. That defenseless feeling that you get. So, it's, I don't know, it's very dramatic for some people. And it was a tough movie to watch, but I'm glad I watched it anyways. Because I'd never seen it.
What's his name? Takashi Miike. His movies are like ultra violent, and like you see some of that stuff and you freak out. You go, whoa, that's intense. And like I can see that happening with a history of violence, because you're thinking, okay, here's some mobsters. Maybe it's going to be one of those like neo-noir Godfather types set in modern time, but then like the action just explodes and it's brutal.
Yeah, it's definitely brutal. It's really tough to take. That I'm so glad we watched a comedy though this week because we really needed it. You know what I mean? We needed a break from some of the really tough movies that we've been watching. It's just been really, really draining to sit there and be so, through the whole thing and then get to talk about it. That helps you get it off your chest. But we haven't had a comedy for a little while, especially a good one like this one that we got to laugh all the way through, basically. And it was fun. It was a fun movie, and I really enjoyed it.
Glad you guys.
Same here. This was an awesome movie, and variety is the spice of life. So like, you feel you guys are getting into a series of films that might be dragging you down or weighing a little heavy on you. You start thinking things, maybe slipping back into reality. It's good to pick something that will kind of ease you out of the tension into a better frame of mind.
I thought that was cute that Crafting Gaver said, I personally love this movie, but it is strange because it is. It is strange, but it's 40-something years old. Okay. A lot of people don't think about that. It's 40-something years old. Ringo Starr was like 40 when he made this movie, and he's like 85 now. I mean, it's just hard to think about that much time's gone by because it just doesn't seem that dated to me. It doesn't. This comedy to me is still funny. It's a movie that I could, if I had never seen it and it came on TV and I didn't know who the actors were, like most of these young people today wouldn't even know who Ringo Starr is probably. You know what I mean? I don't know. But I think they'd think it was funny. It's a good slapstick comedy, dumb movie. And they watch tons of dumb shit. At least it looks dumb to me. Some of the stuff that I've seen.
All the dumb movies
on TV. So I think it aged well. I think it's still
dumb schlocky movies are great. TCG with children or City of Lost Children. Like, that is a very bizarro film, but the production value on it is just amazing. They got literally a brain in a jar, and it's conversing with a bunch of clones, and they're stealing children's dreams, and it's
What is
gonzo
this
weird.
about?
City of Lost Children.
Oh, the one we're going to watch next week?
Yep.
That sounds really, really interesting. Now that you told me a little bit.
It's bizarre, but it's so well done.
There was a movie that I don't remember how old I was, but I remember walking in on my parents, and they were watching it with some other couples. Okay. And it was my dad used to do it. He loved doing these projection things because he had a projector, and he'd get reel to reel, whatever those are called, 8 mils, or I don't know what they're called, but he'd have a screen.
15 and 8 mil.
And my mom would not let us go in there when my dad was playing poker with his friends, because she said they were watching stag films or whatever. I don't know what that meant back then. But I remember walking through the dining room area into the den area towards the kitchen. There was another route, but for some reason I took that one, I guess because I was a bratty kid. And my mom and dad and 2 other couples were in there watching a movie. And I can't remember what the name of the movie was, but it was had some adult stuff in it. It wasn't a porn or anything like that, but it was a movie that I thought was really interesting, kind of like what you were just saying about. But it was about a guy, a scientist or something, because I watched a little bit of it, when I walked through, and then I walked through again really slowly because I love scary stuff. And he had a head on a platter of a woman.
Oh, the brain that wouldn't die.
And she was talking to some other creature or something that was in a cage, and I didn't get to ever find out that much about it, so I have no idea what the name of the movie is and what even happened. But they were talking about getting out or getting away from this scientist. So I don't know exactly what it was about, but it was scary. That's what I remember. And it was realistic to me, but it was on one of those type of things that my dad would watch. And I got that from my dad's house and all those movies. So I'll have to dig through it and see if I can find it. But I got the projector and everything. So I got tons and tons of stuff that when I went down there to clean, nobody else wanted it. So I said, well, I'm taking this stuff. It's just going to rot.
That's epic.
So we'll see. But I can't remember the name of it, but it was really intense and creepy. It was a guy in a lab coat, and he had a creature in a cage and a woman on a tray, and she had things stuck into her head, and she was talking and arguing with this scientist. It was just her head sitting up on this tray.
Yeah, that was the
can of water.
The brain that wouldn't die, or the head that wouldn't die. Is
that what it's called? Do you know what the story's about?
Yeah.
Okay, because I wouldn't mind watching that and actually getting to see it, because I still have no idea what it was about or anything. But every so often it just pops in my head. And I'm like, damn, I need to watch that movie, whatever it was, because I never did figure it out. But it was scary to see a woman's head talking when it had no body. So he was keeping it alive somehow. So she wanted to die, I think. She didn't look like she was enjoying herself.
Yeah, basically the son was trying to save her head. He had these unorthodox methods and theories on transplanting. And so the whole thing was he was going to save this woman who was basically a head and then find a body for her, so he has to commit murder. And
well, they were enjoying it. They were smoking, they had their cigarettes, and they were all sitting around talking and drinking alcohol. So they were having fun watching this scary movie or whatever. So, but my dad loved it. He watched those movies up until he left, until he had to move in with my sister because he hurt his leg. So,
yeah, that was like all the creature features that I saw in the Bay Area with John Stanley and like, so you had your classic Universal Horror, Hammer Studios, all that.
Yeah, my dad's always been interested in like old cameras, old movie projectors, all kinds of stuff about how to edit, film, develop film, slides. He has bunches of slide machines that are big. You can take the whole roll and set it on there, and it clicks around.
Mhm.
It's got all that kind of stuff. Because remember, he was in the Air Force and he did a lot of training and stuff like that. So he has tons of stuff with, training stuff. You remember the opening videos and stuff in the movie, The Thing? Remember the slide stuff they were watching? My dad has stuff like that. Lots of it. That's one reason why I thought The Thing was so cool, is because it looked like something that my dad probably would have been in the middle of. You know what I mean? Because he was always off doing stuff. He'd be gone for 9 months at a time. And we would see him.
That stuff's also a generational thing, because like I remember a couple of months back I was watching some old it was like stuff on bomb shelters and nuclear fallout and like duck and cover. And it was like old timey films from like I shouldn't say old timey because it was like the 60s, but for me that's kind of old timey. And I was like, I remember this stuff from like grade school. Like we'd have the slide carousels or the projectors, and they would say, hide under your desk if there's a nuclear explosion. Like that's really going to save your ass. But whatever. It is what it is.
You're gonna melt.
And it was funny because it was a series of slides that were put into video format. And so it was synced up with the audio. And if you remember, it was a separate like cassette or reel-to-reel setup. And then you had the slides. And then as the audio was going, it would beep. And then that was your cue to click the next slide. Well, all these comments in this YouTube video that I was watching was like, what's with all the beeping? And I was like, oh yeah, these guys weren't around back in my day when we had all this antiquated technology that we're still using. And like somebody had to explain to them, well, back in that time, it was all slides and they didn't have it on video or tape. So you listen to the audio, you hit the cue, which was the beep, press the button, moves to the next slide that would progress further into whatever they were discussing about. And it was funny. I was sitting there, and I was like, yeah, I remember that in early grade school before they started getting the VHS stuff out. And I was like, damn, does anybody use that anymore? Is this what it's been reduced to? Is like a YouTube video of days gone by?
What's really neat is that I like to collect some of these things because I get casting notices, and they'll ask if you have, or they'll send out casting and say, hey, we're looking for an 8mm camera that looks like this, or different things for props.
Oh, that's cool.
So you can also, for homes, sorry, I got a dry throat, for things for your house that they might want to use in a movie. I gotta get a drink. Sorry.
There was a movie.
Hydrate.
There was a movie that just was released not long ago, and the director said, if you have something that might be a good prop for the movie at your home, go ahead, bring it in, and we'll look at it, evaluate it, and if it is, we'll use it. And that's it's been getting more and more traction as budgets for movies are going down, and we're seeing a return to form where movies are less reliant on special effects or large amounts of CGI, unless you're Disney because you suck. But that seems to be the going rate right now. Everybody.
Yeah. Also, if you have like clothing, like let's say they want to do remember I told you there was a casting thing and they were looking for women with full bush for a 70s sex drama TV series, and they were going to have dancers, that were nude, and they had to have, not shaven women. You know what I'm saying? So that's explicit.
Kind of hard to fake.
$500 for an hour's work, and all you got to do is stand around and dance or whatever and show stuff, certain things. So it depends on what you have, what they might need. If they're looking for a specific item or an outfit, let's say.
Grow, damn it! I need the money. Grow.
Seen, like I got a casting thing, and they were looking. If they say, "Hey, if you know anyone that wants to make $1,000, we're gonna film. What we need someone that will show their breasts for the movie Hot Tub Time Machine 2." And that they got to be able to show their breasts. So they want to flash their boobs or whatever, and they'll make $1,000, stuff like that. So we have to ask people, hey, do you know anyone that wants to make $1,000? Got a nice rack. So you just never know when you get these casting notices, because it could have lots of stuff in it. It's like I was saying, if you see a thing on I think it's Craigslist, and there's another one, Angie's List, or they might be looking for someone that is they want Proud Boy looking guys that got tattoos and they're bald for a protest scene or whatever, things like that. So there's tons of that stuff that's coming out all the time. For gigs, you can just look under the gigs for those different websites, and you can get paid to do something. I mean, I get that stuff too, because I do promo work, like let's say like the movie, a Lego movie's coming out, or a new cartoon movie, and they're going to be giving out, they want you to go to a couple of these different businesses and talk to people and hand out posters and props, or keychains or stickers or whatever to promote the movie. And you just talk to people and say, hey, our movie's coming out, please hope you go to see it, and pass it out to make people think about it, especially if it's a kids movie and you'd be over near the toy section, and they have toys setting out that's going to be selling for the movie. So that's how you promote it, and you get paid really good money just to do that for 4 or 5 days. So that's how I found out about a lot of the movies that might be coming out before they come out.
Crafting, I feel your pain, because I dropped my tablet one time and put somebody on timeout. Thankfully, it wasn't that long, but yeah. Butterfingers. Stuff happens.
Oh, it's okay. Everybody has mistakes. Nobody's perfect. If they think they are, then they aren't. But, well, I've pretty much said everything I need to say about the movie.
I want to have a small message for those of you out there that are gifted, or you've got problems in life. I want you to understand that whatever you've got going on, you could be in a worse situation. Now, granted, there's always a silver lining, but this poor cat right here.
Oh, the French pole vaulter. Yeah, my God.
Oh.
Yeah. Too much baguette.
He should have been wearing a rock strap. Would have held it all in.
I was telling my family about that.
If this guy would have had just one, damn it, I gotta do a better search.
If he just had a bowl of ice water.
Yeah.
Get a little dunk.
All he had to wear was a jock strap.
Okay.
He didn't look like he was wearing one in that scene, did it?
Yeah, he's sad.
From victory to loss, all in the same moment.
Yeah. Dong. I mean, just, you could be in a worse spot. No matter what. I mean, this poor son of a bitch. Your enormous penis completely got rid of your Olympic dream, but just think of all the pussy that's going to be trying to hunt you down. There's going to be a lot of women looking for that.
Why wasn't he wearing a jock strap though?
That's kind of what I was wondering.
To wear?
Like when we did wrestling, a lot of us wore jock straps. So that way our dick, like when you're snuggling with your opponent on the mat, if you're kind of weird, sometimes you get a hard on. And if you're not weird, you usually don't have to worry about that. The moment I get in combat, my balls retreat into my stomach. No idea of sex. I'm self-preservation.
See, he wasn't wearing it. See how much jiggle he had? He wasn't padded.
He's letting his shit dangle, just trying to get women to Google his piece.
Well, if you're going to try to win a medal, you need to make sure your stuff's packed up you know what I'm saying.
He's trying to win a medal if he's going to go out like that.
That's what I'm saying. He ruined it for himself.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to blame a guy for free balling, but
he himself over. Don't put it that way. That's terrible. But
if it's mission critical, stow that shit.
Yeah.
But well, I feel bad for him, but he should have wore tighter underwear.
Before I leave, just you could be in worse shape. Also, for our friends that are in Venezuela, anybody that loves Britain, that's in Britain right now, Britain as it should be, not Britain as it's trying to get changed over.
Seriously,
we're hoping that things work out in a peaceful way, and if not, we hope you guys actually unlock your gun cabinets and use the shit you're supposed to.
Do they have guns still?
No.
Oh.
Technically,
the faggot bobbies will stand around with their hands on their hips, all proud and shit, and show you a table full of butter knives that they confiscated because you're not supposed to have butter knives in UK. Now, granted, UK's got the most acid attacks, most stabbing attacks worldwide, it seems like, at least in London, where shithole mayor is in charge. But the UK needs to get its shit together, and they've got a lot of problems there. I'm not sorry about any comments I make online about social media. You know how I feel about sand people, and I'm never going to apologize for it. I don't like that region of the world. I don't like. Oh, you cause problems for the rest of us. Fuck all of you.
I'm trying to find something real quick. I want to read it. If you don't care, let me find it really fast.
We're in the part where we still have viewers here. Thank you.
Here it is. This is something I found, and I was shocked when I read it. And every country that ruins themselves pretty much goes through the same type of scenario. So I wanted to read it. So hopefully our country doesn't do it. In 1992, Venezuela became the third richest country in the hemisphere. 1997, they became the second largest purchaser of F-150s. In 2001, they voted for socialist president and became income equality.
That was their first mistake.
Yep. 2004, private health care is completely socialized. 2007, all higher education becomes free. 2009, socialists banned private ownership of guns. 2012, Bernie Sanders praises their American dream. 2014, opposition leaders are imprisoned. Sounds like what we're going through right now with the lawfare against Trump. 2016, food/healthcare shortages become widespread. 2017, constitution of the elections are suspended. 2019, unarmed citizens are massacred by their own government. It took only one generation of progressive leadership to plunge this country into what it is right now, basically. Sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, look how far our country has fallen just since this administration has come into play.
Which is why all of you need to own a firearm and have sufficient munitions to.
I have multiple. So, yeah, it's a scary thought. I mean, it really is. The fact that how hard it was to work our way up to where women got rights, blacks have rights, they can vote and they make choices and stuff. We work our way up to something. Then you have the whole pussy hat control that comes out, women's this, women's that. And now we have two men that are competing for a gold medal, or two, one's a little different, but we have a man that's about to have a chance to win a gold medal in women's sports at the Olympics. Let's think about it. I mean,
I think
I don't know
that if you got a Y chromosome,
where is the pussy hat
sport?
Up in arms over this? They're not.
I don't know if I've made myself clear enough, but Bolshevism, Marxism, socialism, even the National Socialism, all that ism, of the socialist variety is just utter bullshit. I don't think they're actually people, because why would people do that to their own?
I have no idea. But, you know, I just don't see us being able to recoup. If we have to go through 4 more years of this, that we won't have any rights left. And I told Walter,
it's one of those things that's going to take generations to fix. And unfortunately, I think the solution to fix our problem is some stuff that we aren't really allowed to talk about on social media. And it's also
fine.
It's also a type of solution that, like, once you go that route, the America we grew up in is gone. Like, fundamentally, it is gone. So any semblance of that we try to bring back, it won't ever be the same. Nope. And we might end up in a situation where we have to go the full fuck around and find out route. And that's not going to be good for everybody. Sadly. Like, yeah. Maybe 100 years from now, we can look back on this unpleasantness and be like, yeah, we did what we could, and this is what we got. And, you know, it was much better back then than it was now, but at least we got something to hold on to.
But what's really sad is that if you look around right now, they're trying to take everything out of our history books. They're trying to tear statues down, doing all that.
That's the whole socialist thing. You look at the past and you're like, oh, we don't need the past. We're going to make our own future. Then you look at what they do, and like California is a perfect example. Mm-hmm. They're broke. They're homeless. People are dying. People are fleeing. And the government there, they all need to be tossed into a fucking volcano. Like, that's what this whole socialism shit leads to, is just utter destruction and death.
What's scary to me is all they have to do is send enough people from New York, Oregon, Washington State, and California into Texas and to Florida. And slowly...
That's if you want to vote your way out of tyranny, and you can't vote your way out of tyranny. Well, I refer you to my previous comment.
They're changing the atmosphere in both those states. And once it becomes blue, that's enough votes. They don't need to cheat.
That's if you believe that the system is not corrupt and it works. But if you look at the data, shit's rotten from top to bottom. And things need to change.
I know. That's what I'm trying to say.
And the majority of us that are in the know realize that we have to keep our cool. Let the idiots that are in power right now be the bad guys, because, you know, optics matter.
Yep.
But at one point, you know, they're going to be doing stuff that we disagree with, and we're going to have to be called to task, and that's when it gets really fucking ugly. And we can't let it get that far. But we also got to be realistic and be like, you know, can't vote your way out of tyranny. Mm-hmm. There's no way that a vote is going to stop a coup if they've hijacked the system. Mm-hmm. So keep your guns, bullets, beans, and Band-Aids.
But watching,
and pray that level heads can try and sway the tide.
But watching the people in Venezuela in the streets and stuff like that, trying to get people to wake up and realize that they're taking it. They're going to take it without their permission. You know what I mean? Like what a lot of us already feel like we've been through, right? In the United States.
And if you're not going to exercise your rights and liberties, you deserve every bit of that.
I know. And what's sad, though, is the ones that do exercise the liberties and try are going to have to suffer along with all the people who don't do shit. That's the sad fact.
It's not going to be easy. It's never easy when freedom's on the line. Like, you either die or get subjugated. if you lose. So,
Yep.
you know, knuckle up, pull on your big boy and big girl panties, and you know, work the system as much as you can, but have a contingency.
Yep. Be ready.
It's been proven that our government doesn't give a shit about us, except for our money and our subjugation.
Mm-hmm.
Cops aren't there to protect us; they're there to enforce the law.
Yep.
The only people that are going to save you is you, your friends, and family. Maybe your community if you've got an awesome community, but no one's there to bail you out.
That's why I keep telling people not to leave your homes and go to Washington, D.C. or any of these other places. Stay home and protect your homes.
Yeah.
Because that's
like
all you
I've
got.
always said, don't fight from your mailbox. You don't want to bring the fight to your front door.
Mm-hmm.
Take it as far away as you can. Do what you can. But you know, there might be a day where they're knocking on your door, and you got basically two options. You can try and leave and move on to greener pastures and recoup, reorganize, or you stand your ground. Just depends on what you have to lose and how far you're willing to take it.
I'm going to stand my ground. So this is where I'm going to be gone, where I'm going to be taken out at home. So
I'd rather see you stay in Arkansas than move to Nevada myself. That's just me.
I know, but that's what I'm saying right here, right now. If they were to come, this is where I'm going to be. So that's what I'm saying. It depends. A lot of it's going to depend on what happens in this next year. But if I could move, you know, to Arizona or Nevada because of my problems with my health, because of my allergies are just horrible. And I just gave blood, and I should know hopefully in another week what they think I might be allergic to food, some kind of food or something, because I'm not getting better like a normal person would. After 3 years of shots, I'm not progressing, and I'm still having more and more symptoms. So it's got to be something. So they're trying to find out what it is. And I just feel like where I live is killing me. You know what I mean? I just can't get better. And it's not my heart. It's not my liver. You know, it's not my, that anything like that they can find. It's something that I'm having a reaction to something. We just don't know what it is. Could be multiple things, but hopefully we'll find out some blood tests. It sucks.
Really maybe they'll just figure out you're allergic to all the bullshit and that there's an oversaturation of bullshit.
That means I have
politics and life.
Go live in a cave by myself. That's not gonna much of a life, you know what I'm saying? But whatever, I'm doing everything I can. That's what I'm doing. I'm trying to eat right, take care of myself, exercise, do all the things that I feel like I have say in. And whatever it is, it's something that I'm being exposed to that that I don't know what it is, but hopefully I can find out what it is. I'm praying that please don't let it be steak or milk. Don't take.
Read the labels. Do the research to see who owns what. Because I don't eat a lot of fast food, and there's certain fast food I don't really eat, like McDonald's. Every once in a while, like once every 5 years, I might get a cheeseburger or something like that. My mom was freaking out because she eats fast food with some of her clients.
If you want a good cheeseburger, you make it. Then you know it's
that's what I do.
Yeah. So
99% of the food that I eat is homemade.
Yeah, mine
too.
I hardly ever.
She found out that Bill Gates is the sole producer of potatoes for McDonald's.
Yeah, but did you guys hear that we will not have lab-grown meat in Arkansas? Our governor's already said no. That will not have that.
That's cool. But what about the hormones and vaccines that they give the animals? Like our pork industry has been stolen.
Trying to do that. She's trying to stop the government from pushing any of that stuff on us. She's changed it to where we have whole milk now in elementary schools. No more 2% milk. Stuff like that. So that, all these things are stuff that we've been asking for as parents that we haven't been able to get. And there's one, I think he's a senator, and I really don't like him. So I'm not going to mention his name, but I don't trust him as far as I can throw him. So, and he's in.
Question for Janet.
What
Oh,
what
really?
does his name sound like?
Oh, she's behind me up on my shelf, behind my screen, up there with all my, my Star Trek and my little cone head and all the little characters that I have up there. I'll have to send you a picture. Take a picture for you.
I'm not above outing senators or governors like Brad Little.
Well, so. I do talk about him in spaces and things like that, but I don't feel comfortable doing it on this stream.
Oh yeah, because the communists that run this hellhole.
It's outing something like that. Now in spaces, I don't have any fear of saying anything. I feel, and I've said a lot of things and gotten plenty of arguments.
Yeah,
I think you've been in a couple of spaces that I've been in.
Mm-hmm.
Very political, very political. Most every space I go in now. It's a politics.
My family has a history of fighting socialists, whether they be Nazis, communists, or the shit that we got now.
So
the uniparty rhinos, and once the money runs out, they pretty much fall apart.
But yeah.
So back to the shiny, happy stream of a wonderful comedy, Caveman. Politics aside.
Yep.
This was an awesome feel-good movie. It's 43 years old. It doesn't feel dated. Oh, as I said earlier, it was 80 out of 100.
Okay, so you got the same as me then. Yeah, we're the same.
And I would say that people should see this. Like, it's refreshing. It's different from the past 15 years of cinema. Like, it deals with stuff in a way that is organic and digestible, and just it feels good. It doesn't feel pre-canned. It's fun, yes. And then to segue back into the whole role-playing thing, because this is also a role-playing channel, like, if you get yourself a copy of Land of Og, Caveman RPG, like, this would be awesome to watch. And then go listen to the bags. And then throw yourself a one-shot for the weekend, get some beer and pretzels going, and just, caveman out and yabba dabba do. Freaking awesome.
Yeah, it was a good movie. I thank you guys for watching it with me and hanging out.
Yeah, it was awesome having you guys.
Yeah, I look forward to this every week. And I'm excited about watching another new movie I've never seen. That'll be the last two before this one I had never seen. So I like that. I'm gonna get to do that. But I also enjoy watching a good movie that I haven't watched in a while. So
it's really weird how we are as humans, because a lot of us, whether your time wasting is by spending watching movies or television shows or playing video games or reading books, a lot of us, we enjoy the discovery of something new, but after a period of time, we'll go out in the backyard to our site where we bury things like old Nintendo games or old products, and we open those up again. We play through an old video game we've played through 12 times. We've read a book that like we've had since we were 13, or we decide, you know what, I'm going to read The Hobbit again. Fuck all of you. I'm going to be gone for 3 weeks, or I'm going to be gone for 3 days, and I'm going to read The Hobbit. It's weird how all of us go back and we go and we find something we love, and we get back into it again, because it's our comfort food for media that we love to just chew and chew and chew over and over again. It's like going back to your favorite, I know you guys don't like fast food, but your favorite restaurant and ordering your favorite appetizer or your entree of choice, whatever it may be, that it's just your comfort food, whether that's a Bob Evans farmer's platter, or if it's the Shoney's 3 eggs and bacon breakfast special, or if it's the eggs over my hammy over at Denny's. And I'm not saying
I love Denny's. Breakfast to me isn't fast food.
No.
It's been 7 years since I've been to Denny's.
I go out to lots of restaurants in the morning for breakfast, like Denny's or IHOP, and I get, grits, and I get eggs and bacon, or a big, nice, juicy piece of ham. See, that's different.
What is a grit?
The same, a grit. Oh, grits are delicious with salt and butter.
No, my cousin Vinny.
Oh.
What is a grit?
But going out and getting like hamburgers, because there's a place here, it's called, in Arkansas, it's called Whataburger, and they have like hamburgers.
I think we got one.
And you can cut them in half. They're humongous. But the thing is, I just don't. It causes my elbow to itch. That's one of my symptoms. But then I start getting rashes and stuff. Like I told you, I've been having all these rashes, and it's just irritating because it constantly itches, and I can't do anything about it. I'm taking every.
You got a local farmer you can get your meat and veggies from?
Oh, I'm not. As long as
you don't produce yourself.
Food that I make, like I make my own salads, I do all that stuff. It's when I eat something else, like
because it might be the
bread. Anytime I eat any bread or certain
the factory farm stuff,
pasta in it or rice, I get really bad rashes. So I'm trying to cut everything out of my diet, which is really hard. I'm eating more and more fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. But as soon as I have, a couple bites of lasagna or anything like that, then I start getting these rashes, and it takes weeks for it to go away. Right now I'm using this special ointment the doctor gave me, but I just want to know what it is. That's why we're doing all these tests, to find out, so I'd stop putting any of that in my diet, because I'm tired of having inflammation and itching, and I have headaches. I got a whole bunch of symptoms, so we'll find out what it is, but I'm tired of it.
This is my favorite burger of all time. That's a sweet and spicy bacon burger, which is a double patty.
Yeah, it looks delicious.
cheese, 6 slices of bacon, grilled onions, and I always like to throw tomatoes and lettuce. And if it's a morning, if it's from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m., you can get an egg on top of that. And
wow,
that's a Gaines burger
right
Holy
there. Crap.
That for hauling all those stupid hoses off my truck, that is the fuel that I want when I go to work. So we kind of wandered off topic a little bit, get into politics. That's what you get when you get us three together. For those of you asking,
we get me in anything. I'm going to start talking.
We talk about everything and anything.
Fucking Janet.
I was going to.
Janet signs the waiver. I promise not to talk about politics at all during this game. And you give her a half glass of wine or 2 swallows into that burgundy, and she automatically says, "Fuck Gavin Newsom." And it starts.
Well, I can't help it. At least I'm honest about it. I try not to, but I can't help it. Oh, see?
I was going to segue into...
Yeah, it's scary when you work there. But look at Bruce. Look what he does for a living. He knows what's in those restaurants.
Listen, if I don't...
He's got a
grease trap.
Got an Olympian freaking immune system.
Mm-hmm. But, I just want to find out.
I was going to segue in with a current find from my childhood. So if you grew up in the 80s, back in 82, I mentioned it in the Alpha Test Discord, because it was, I forgot what the actual subject was, but it reminded me of the French-Japanese collaboration animation, The Mysterious Cities of Gold, which was based off of Scott Odell's The King's Fifth, which is basically a story about a kid that travels with the conquistadors into the New World and their adventures trying to find gold and riches and whatnot. The animation deals with this kid, Esteban, who was rescued from a sinking ship by this guy, Mendoza, who's a pilot and navigator, 10 years earlier as a babe. And he had this medallion around his neck. So he takes the coin portion of it, of the sun, out of the medallion, gives the kid the medallion, and sends him off to the church in Barcelona to get raised by the clergy there. And so he has this strange ability where he can bring out the sun. And so whenever it's rainy or stormy weather or whatever, they parade him around, and he really hates heights, and they put him up on this basically like a crow's nest. And then somehow the sun magically appears. And so that's like his one like supernatural power that isn't really a power. He thinks it's just coincidence. But he ends up getting roped up into this adventure. This was before, I think, Cortez. A year before Cortez goes and discovers the New World. So they're out looking for gold in South America. He comes across this gal, Zia, who's an Incan girl that can read the kipa, which are the braided strands of record keeping that the Incas developed. Knotted strings of different colors and different knots, and it was a form of like bookkeeping, usually for debts. 10-based system of mathematics. And so it's supposed to tell the location of these fabled 7 cities of gold. And then in their misadventures, they come across this kid, Tao, who's a little dark-skinned compared to Zia. And he is the last descendant of the ancient people of Mu, which is the Pacific version of Atlantis. And they go on these misadventures in the Americas, primarily Central and South America, Galapagos, and that area. And they're trying to find these fabled cities of gold, and it turns out that there's this ancient war that happened thousands of years ago between Atlantis and Mu, and they almost destroyed the world. And so the king of Mu developed these cities all across the continents, which are now the ruins that we see of like the Inca and the Maya, the Olmec. The Olmec are interesting because in the cartoon they're portrayed like degenerative. They almost look like goblins, but pink. They got pointy ears, no hair. They're short of stature. Apparently there was this nuclear war, and their people went into a mountain and basically survived during cryostasis. And they're trying to find technology to bring them back and then become a superpower once again. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, the kids go on these misadventures. They find a solar-powered ship that shoots death rays that only lasted about 4 episodes. And then they find a condor later on that they use as an airplane to fly around and get from place to place. But it's solar-powered, so it only works during the day. So they find themselves in situations where there isn't sun or something's blocking the sun, and they got to find a way to get out of it. And it's a cutesy, fun little animation that I'm just freaking rambling on about now. But it's got an awesome soundtrack, synthesizer based. At least I think so. And it was during a time where there was too much violent cartoons popping up in the early 80s. It was like lots of space warfare or robots and shit like that. So they had to do the obligatory 5 minutes of education to get past the censors. And so after each episode, there was something about Mexican or South American culture, stuff basically south of the United States that they covered, whether it was the cigarettes, the ball court, or what have you. Maybe they talk about cocoa plants or what have you. So there was always something educational tossed in. And the other night I found a couple of YouTube channels and I was downloading some episodes online of it. And I was just thinking like, wow, that was a fun little trip down memory lane. It was a cool show as a kid growing up. I was like 5 years old when I watched it. So I'd watch that and then go to kindergarten. And I always thought it would be cool to have like this kind of steampunk or ancient tech flying machine that I could fly all over the place like these kids did. And it got me thinking like that would have been a fun little adventure to run in some role-playing setting where, you know, you might be doing the golden age of sail or something like that, and then toss in Atlantean tech or ancient advanced civilizations or whatever.
So
now that we're totally in the weeds and left field there. What was that?
Are you going to write your own game?
Oh, hell no. No, I just like the cartoon. I'm already in a game that I enjoy. I don't have any desire to like do that because by the time that thing gets published, I'll be able to retire for 15 minutes before they put me 6 feet under.
Well, I'm going to be cremated, so I'm not worried about getting put 6 feet under. But yeah, how long do you think it's going to take, Bruce?
For what?
For you to get your thing finished and get it published.
Janet, right now with my schedule, I get about 75 words done a week on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll probably take me about a year to get the player's handbook done. I need to get between 64 and 96 pages in it. I'm already at 56 pages right now. I've got a large chunk of the races are finished. The work I'm doing on right now is classes involving the domains of the cleric. Mm-hmm. And I just really need to talk to somebody that understands how to write spells. What program do I use to open up and start doing the spells work for the campaign? But once I get that done, that'll be the majority of it, because that's going to be the hardest part of writing this. Everything else is going to be pretty much just like snip, snip, cut, paste, snip, snip, cut, paste, and it'll be over.
Do you have Dragon?
As a monster, yeah.
No, I mean a program for your computer. It's called Dragon.
No, I don't.
Dragon, naturally speaking.
You can just
spend about 45 minutes figuring out how to copy your intonation and whatnot, and then you can just blab, and it'll do it all for you.
Yeah. So maybe if somebody gets you Dragon as a gift,
I don't anybody get me Dragon right now. Let me get the other things, the non-spell stuff written in there, typed in there, and then we can figure it out from there, because that's what's taken me the longest, is getting the spells. And once like the equipment and feats chapters should be easy to do. The edges are where the game really starts to evolve past the original 3.x mentality, because a lot of the things like what Janet has possible kind of bleeds over into a lot of the fighter style things if she decides to go the route of the paladin. A lot of things that the thieves have available to them allow them to take up a whole host of things, including kind of like almost bard work. The bards are one of the 5 core, or the buskers are one of the 5 original classes, but they've got so much variance between them and the rogues that there's going to be a lot of stuff in the edges. That'll be the second chapter that causes me like real issues. But right now I've got to get through the classes chapter, and that mainly is just getting the domains. I'm trying to get it to where I've got less than 25 separate domains available. And if I can do that, that's great. If I have to go up to 50, that's fine. But there's going to be a lot of opportunity for things, and this is going to be system or a world neutral book. I don't plan on having anything from any campaign in there that could be separate. And in fact, I really like Frog God Games' world anyway because it's so well done. So it's going to be it's going to be world neutral for the system. The system is going to be, for me, it's easy to read. For you guys, it might take you 5 minutes to figure out. Once you figure it out, you're like, oh shit, this is easy. Because I think it's easier to run this than it is to run Pathfinder because of just how fluid the combat should be. And now that I've figured out how to do charges, like any movement that I do, like if you're in the middle of combat and it's your action, what are you doing? And you're like, okay, Bruce, I've got no weapon in my hand, but I want to charge that guy that's about, 40 foot away from me? Is he 40 foot away or less? Yeah, he's 40 foot away from you, exactly. Okay, as I'm running towards him, I'm going to pull my sword because I've got a +5 BAB or a +5% or more on my base offense bonus, and I'm going to charge him. So what's the time frame for that? Okay, well, for you to swing your weapon and to get that charge done, it's going to cost you this much time. And now that I've got it, there is a simple solution for it because it's just the weapon attack speed plus 1 second for every 10 feet. So if it's 4 inches, it's going to be or if it's going to be 8 inches, it's going to be 4 extra seconds for the charge. Bam. And so that's how the work goes for the movement in a combined attack. And so if you're doing a charge action, that's what I figured out. I know that sounds like you just figured out how to do charges. Well, yeah, it's my own custom system. I wanted to be able to get it done right. I think this is how we do it right. And I hope you guys appreciate it whenever we start playing it next week because I'm looking forward to next week's game. Next week. Yeah. Next week.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got a question. Your hall closet, is it pretty spacious? Does it have room?
Why would you ask?
Well, I was thinking, like, your heavy work schedule, right? You can get no more than under 100 words on a page. So if anybody wants to super chat, potential skills in ghostwriting, $2 or more will know if you're serious. If you have the room to board them in your closet to type out like a little monkey your book while you dictate them, like that would speed up the time frame by at least 6 months, right?
Yeah.
And then potentially get the Kickstarter going within a year. So you're looking at like 2 years, get your book going.
We're not going to do a Kickstarter. We're going to do a POD. I'll get things set up with Lulu, do a POD. And that way, if you want to have a book, you can have it print on demand. And also, there'll be an option to pretty much, if somebody wants me to sign it, Lulu will print it, send it to me. I'll sign it and get it shipped to where you're at or wherever someone's at. I think we still can do everything continental U.S. or continental North America. Sorry about you overseas people. But I've got an artist already lined up, and he's agreed to do the cover and some illustrations for the interior. I just got to get him the money. That would be the only thing I want to do with, if I was going to need money, that would be it. But I don't think he's going to be that costly. And I'm not really focusing on art. I'm trying to get the text in, as much text as I can cram into the 64 and 96 pages for the player's handbook, which is not going to have a whole lot of information aside from spells and how the combat works and how that stuff is. The Game Master Guide, on the other hand, the Game Master Guide is going to be one of the thickest tomes you'll ever break your foot on, and it'll be something like this. Okay.
Holy shit. The yellow pages of gaming.
Yeah, and it's a Game Master Guide because the game is completely GM facing. The game is not like one of those games like 5e or Pathfinder where like you plot your characters advance for the next 12 levels. No, the game pretty much is organic, and the GM has to understand his world before you get a chance to play it. So it's not a game where you're like, oh, we'll do a pickup game. No, have an idea of the mentors in the area. That way, whenever they go to town or it's time to train, you know who's in the area and what type of services they can provide and what type of training they can provide to players for their characters, because that way you establish an order in your world and it feels consistent. It's going to help you make your campaign longer than 6 sessions. The 6-session campaign is something that I am personally taking a stance against. I don't care about what rule system you play, but make a campaign that's consistent year in and year out, and have players that are wanting to play with you for an excess of 3 to 5 years. And that way you have consistency. You have a game table that you can actually tell people, yeah, I've ran a campaign for the past 12 years, or I've been playing the same game world for the past 20 years. The current campaign is 5 years old, and I've got a secondary campaign that's just hit over a year, and blah, 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 blah. And that way it's very much GM facing, because the game master is one really responsible for keeping the table together. As much as the players might say they have, they do or they don't. If the GM can't keep their attention long enough, why would they keep coming? Why would they keep showing up? Why would they keep wanting to play? I need them to be able to want to understand why their participation means so much. But if the GM can't hold it together, he has no table. And I want to write a GM's guide for the GM that wants to present the world in the fog of war fashion. Anyway.
Sorry, you stalkers. No dice. Dedicated GMs only.
We'll have to get a house by the end of the year anyway, because we're looking at that, and this apartment complex is getting less and less friendly with its mandates and such. So we're probably going to have to move here before the start of January. Anyway, you're talking about the movie Iceman, Kronos. That is a fantastic
Caveman.
What?
Caveman. You said Iceman.
No, I did.
Iceman's the other movie.
Iceman's the other movie. In
Okay.
the movie Iceman, there's a scene where the Iceman, the caveman in that movie, falls from a helicopter. And if you want to know when we're doing that movie, November 10th.
Mm-hmm.
November 10th is a date for Iceman, if you're interested in that. If you're like, no, I want a Powers Booth movie. Okay, we're doing The Emerald Forest on November 3rd. But
next week we're doing the City of Lost Children.
Yes.
And neither one of us have seen it. So if you want to join us next week to watch it, just let us know. Because we watched the movie before we view it in Discord. If anybody's interested.
It's French, like Blue Planet, so it's going to be kind of off from American taste. A little bit. Not in a bad way.
But the little bit that I've been
French in a good way
sounds pretty interesting. So it'd be a fun movie to watch.
Yeah, it's very steampunk.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of secret society stuff in there. Like, you know how it is on YouTube. You go and watch all that shit, and you end up, 5 weeks later wondering where the hell your life went. It's kind of like one of those things. You start looking into it, and you're like, dude, this is a trippy movie. And then you start analyzing it, and then the next thing you know, you're like, holy crap. There's a lot of facets involved. It's good. At least in my opinion. Your mileage may vary.
No, we haven't done Dark City, have we? I don't think so.
We'll have to. It's
not yet. That's another good one.
Jennifer Connelly movie.
That's a good.
It's a better version of The Matrix, I think.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, I've never seen it. So that's another movie that'd be good for me to see.
Yes. All right. So before we go into another tangent for another 50 minutes, Bruce with Janet and 31 Kings, our guest host for the day. We hope you guys have a great week. Come see us again next Sunday as we review the movie The City of Lost Children. And I am looking forward to seeing you all then. Go ahead, guys. Say your good nights and plug your plugs, and then we'll shut her down.
See everybody later. I won't be doing anything at all that I know of. I might do a couple of music video spaces again on X, because I'm trying to, get better at presenting things on a stream. So I might do that. And then Thursday night, I'll have a Team Shit Show 2.0. And then Friday night, I'll do another Friday night shit show. And who knows what we're talking about, because so much shit is happening on a daily basis. So there'll be a lot of shit to talk about, I'm sure. And then Saturday, we have our game.
looking forward to it.
Love for you, Kronos. Sorry you always show up late, but, shit happens. I do it too sometimes. So,
yeah, we have lives.
I'm on Bruce's channel. I'm on Janet's channel. I'm on X. If you don't see me in one of those 3 locations or Discord, I might be on the nightly news. Who knows?
You hope not.
Well, we got less than 100 days before this shit show is officially kicked off. So,
yeah. Oh.
Hope for the best. Prepare for the worst. Get out there, watch movies, game, do hobbies, touch grass, stay hydrated.
Mm-hmm. Hug your loved ones.